For more than 150 years, Trinity University has celebrated human inquiry. Our innovative curriculum is rooted in a distinctive blend of the liberal arts and sciences. Students and faculty hone creative curiosity by answering questions and questioning answers. In a supportive, interdisciplinary environment, they seek ways to build bridges and make connections. And with intentional meaning and purpose, they are driven by a sense of duty to themselves and to the world. Add in opportunities for undergraduate research, experiential learning, and nationally recognized pre-professional programs in business, communication, healthcare, education, and entrepreneurship, you get the full Trinity experience. The liberal arts plus. And while this experience may end with a Trinity degree, it's just the beginning of a lifetime of inspired exploration and perpetual discovery.
After a wild game last night, we are right back at it here in San Antonio, Texas, on the campus of Trinity University, where the 6th-ranked Wisconsin-Whitewater Warhawks are in town to play a doubleheader today against the 17th-ranked Trinity Tigers. Luke, we talked a lot last week about how much the Tigers missed catcher Tyler Pettit, and boy, did he make himself felt right away last night.
Yeah, Brian, you're absolutely right about that. But the focus of those discussions last weekend were primarily towards the defensive presence, way he plays behind the plate, but he ended the game last night with the bat in his hands, sending that huge 2-run shot over the wall in left field. It was an absolute no-doubter, even though he had to go down and hit a ball that looked like it was well out of the zone. Reminded us of what he can do offensively for this team. We talked a little bit about his 0-for-9 start in the opening weekend, but we got a couple of bats in the lineup last night that went yard over the fence, and hopefully that will jumpstart them for the season here as they look to continue this 4-game series in the first of the doubleheader right now.
The wind is blowing out to left center field. You and I were out at batting practice before the game, and should be a good one for the hitters today. Everyone seeing the ball fly during batting practice, and we saw the ball fly last night, so expecting more of the same. You saw the coaches conclude their meeting there at home plate. We will have the national anthem right here for you. A big day for Trinity across sports, and we are excited to bring this with you. We will be right back after the national anthem with starting lineups for the Tigers and the Warhawks. We'll be right back. Hello there, baseball fans. We are back after the national anthem and ready to bring you the starting lineup for the Wisconsin-Whitewater Warhawks. Leading off in center field, Zach Campbell. Batting second at second base, Sam Vomhoff. Batting third in right field, Jacob DeMeyer. Batting cleanup, the designated hitter, Matt Corman. Batting fifth at first base, Carson Rupnow. Batting sixth in left field, Eric Hughes. At catcher, batting seventh, Ryan Norton. Batting eighth, the third baseman, David Rubin. And batting ninth at shortstop, Darrell Jackson. And for the host Trinity Tigers, leading off at second base, Jack Baker. The designated hitter, batting second, Christian Holloway. Batting third, the center fielder, Ezra Gore. Batting cleanup, the first baseman, M.J. Metz. Batting fifth in left field, Jack Vonderhaar. Batting sixth in right field, coming off of 2 home runs last night, Brian Schaub. Jack Wisniewski will be playing third, and batting seventh. At shortstop will be Michael Montreza, batting eighth. And quite the 9-hole hitter to have, the catcher Tyler Pettit, coming off of his walk-off home run last night, provides plenty of power at the bottom of the lineup. And it sets up for what should be an incredible day of baseball here in San Antonio. An absolutely beautiful day in San Antonio. The sun is out. Corey Cater is on the mound. Zach Campbell in the batter's box. And we are just about ready to go. And Cater's first pitch to Campbell will be low and inside for a ball. Corey Cater making his third start of the season, all 3 coming on Fridays. And he will face a prolific Whitewater offense that put up 8 runs yesterday, but not quite enough to get over the 10 that the Tigers were able to put up.
Yeah, Brian, and such a great back-and-forth affair last night made it that much more enjoyable to watch and to call on this broadcast. Whitewater getting ahead early. You mentioned Brian Schaub, who homered a couple of times in the contest, was able to tie it up early in that game. Whitewater drawing back ahead, Trinity grabbing a lead, Whitewater grabbing a lead again, and then that memorable bottom of the 9th inning ultimately had the Tigers coming out on top, and it has really set us up for not 1 but 2 really great baseball games here today. You mentioned that the rankings both of these teams carry at this point in the year. Whitewater, number 6 in the nation, Trinity, number 17. Both of these teams playing with a lot of pride even early on in the season.
And the 2-2 to Campbell, bounced up the middle to Jack Baker, who bobbles it there and will allow Campbell to reach. Would have been a tough play because of the speed of Campbell.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. Campbell, from the very jump yesterday, showed off his speed a little bit. The game yesterday got started in a similar way where he almost beat out a ground ball in the infield. But that time, what seemed to be a little bit of a routine ground ball over there second maybe would have been a tight play. Ultimately, just bobbled again. And it continues some of the defensive mishaps that we've seen out of the Tigers in the infield to start the year.
First pitch swinging there, going the other way is Vomhoff, but absolutely, Luke, you mentioned the defense has been a concern early on in this season. The Tigers had 3 errors last night. They were able to overcome them, but already on the first batter, picking up an error and bringing up Vomhoff to the plate. Vomhoff going 1 for 6 last night. And he looks at that off-speed delivery from Cater up and outside. Vomhoff hitting .400 last season. Someone the Warhawks love having at the plate with runners on. And he has Campbell over there, who's taken his lead. Cater holding and delivering. And that one's bounced up the middle. Montreza to Baker on to first. No, he will hold on to just see out there at second. A tough slide, as we mentioned. Campbell getting down the line quickly and breaking up the double play, but Montreza doing a nice job to get the one out there with the lead runner.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that, Brian. Only one double play that we've seen this middle infield turn here at home so far in the campaign. But we have seen a couple of hard hit balls up the middle those guys have converged on, and they've done a really nice job of at least getting that lead runner, not trying to force anything, allowing the guy that's trailing to advance on the base paths. So after a little bit of a rocky start up the middle, as we saw in that first at-bat, Tigers do a nice job of responding and settling in here to record the first out here at the first.
So Vomhoff replaces Campbell over there at first, and up steps up Jacob DeMeyer. 3-hole hitter fouls that one off himself and will come right back into the batter's box. DeMeyer going 2 for 6 last night, having 1 run batted in. See, never pleasant to foul one off your own foot, but DeMeyer walking off the pane here, taking a little bit of time. Umpire doing him a favor, wiping home plate, even though we just got started, but we know that's just to give him a little bit of time. Corey Cater on the mound, as we mentioned, for the 3rd time. Last time out against the Babson Beavers, went 6 innings, gave up 5 earned runs, 5 hits, and 3 walks. Did have those 8 strikeouts. Just had that one rough inning, really, in the middle of that game. This one grounded to third, on to Baker at second, on to first to MJ Metz for the double play. So the ground ball working early for Cater. This one results in a twin killing. We'll head to the bottom of the first. Tigers coming to bat. Welcome back to Tiger Network, where the Trinity Tigers coming up to bat for the first time, and they will be facing the tall right-handed senior, Cade Lancor. Lancor stands at 6'6", 235 out of Nakusa, Wisconsin. And he is making the start today after making 12 appearances last season, 11 of which came out of the bullpen, where he was quite productive. Threw for an ERA of 3.91 and had a 2-1 record, but only had that one start that came at the end of the season against Finlandia, and it was a good one for him. Had 10 strikeouts in 5 innings, only giving up a couple of runs, and that pitch to Baker lined to the left center field gap, and that is going to get down and to the wall. Jack Baker will coast into second base with a stand-up double, and early signs point to the offense being just where it was yesterday for these Tigers.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll see on the replay right here, Jack Baker gets another fastball really right down the heart of the plate after seeing the first one. After we saw him in a couple of at-bats yesterday, we knew that he was more than likely going to be coming into this game hunting the fastball. That's exactly what he got after Lancor went ahead on the first pitch. All of a sudden, the Tigers threatening here in the bottom of the first inning after the bats really got hot late in the game last night.
First pitch here to Christian Holloway, called strike on the outside corner. Holloway, the only new name in the lineup today. We've gotten so used to all the switching and flipping around from this lineup from head coach Tim Scannell, but today it is mostly the same except for Holloway replacing Nathan Brolick here in the 2 spot. And Holloway fouls that one back. So Lancor gets ahead 0-2 after the leadoff double.
Yeah, and last night for the Warhawks, we saw Weston Muir make his first start of the 2022 campaign, and he was absolutely fantastic. The catcher sets that target up and away. Holloway able to lay off that pitch well out of the zone right there. Muir was absolutely fantastic in these first early portion of the game. Had that fastball and curveball working. That fastball really did a nice job getting him ahead in counts.
And right here, Holloway swings through that off-speed delivery. The catcher, Norton, will throw him out at first, but in the meantime, Baker will take third and be just 90 feet away from home, taking advantage of the drop third strike. You see the replay right here. Great pitch to get Holloway swinging, but the catcher, Norton, unable to hang on to it. So Ezra Gore will come to the plate with an RBI opportunity, which he has done so well in early in this season.
Yeah, absolutely. But back to what we were saying previously, Muir doing a great job last night of getting ahead by using his fastball as Gore swings and misses through that curveball that's left a little bit up in the zone. But early on, Lancor following suit, getting ahead 0-2 against Holloway in that last at-bat, and then punching him out with that really nice breaking ball.
Gore pops this one up to the right side. Second baseman colliding with the right fielder, who does end up making the catch. DeMeyer coming in, calling off his infielders. Gore aggressive swinging at the first pitch, and then this is the second pitch, flying it out to right. Could have been chaos there for the Warhawks, but instead out number 2. And it'll be up to MJ Metz to deliver the 2-out RBI.
And that last defensive play for the Warhawks, eerily similar for the fans watching this one at home to a lot of what we saw last night, Brian. A couple of balls that just fell in the outfield, excuse me. Certainly plays that would be routine in the later parts of a year, but early on as the Warhawks really take the field for the first time and have the opportunity to get some and see some fly balls, haven't been incredibly successful with defensively.
Pitch right there to MJ Metz. Looked to be pretty close to the corner. Umpire says it will be a ball, so he gets ahead 2-0 here. A favorable count for the cleanup hitter, who has 10 hits on the year, 6 of which are 4 extra bases, so the power coming from the 4-hole, and Metz crushes this one up the middle, and it'll get down, and that one will roll to the wall as well. He gets into second with a double, and MJ Metz comes through early with the run-scoring double to bring in Baker, putting the Tigers ahead 1-0.
Yeah, and Brian, you talked about that last pitch was really close to the bottom of the zone for Lancor. I'm sure he's looking back on it, wishing that he got that strike call. To go down 2-0 in the count really puts him in a tough position, needing to throw a strike right there, hoping to get out of this inning early. Came back with a fastball, but MJ Metz was sitting on exactly that pitch and put it in a really similar spot where Jack Baker did in the leadoff at bat of this inning.
So the Tigers strike first here, and up comes Jack Vonderhaar. He's swinging at the first pitch, and he's lining it up the middle. That gets down. Metz coming around, and he's going to score standing up. Vonderhaar takes advantage of the high throw. He slides into second base, and the Tigers rolling early here in San Antonio.
Yeah, a great piece of hitting right there from Vonderhaar. We talked about it in the last inning last night. We saw a ball fall between a couple of Warhawk defenders in the outfield, what originally looked to be a really routine play. And then a couple of at-bats later, we saw him tie the ball game in the bottom of the ninth. He stays hot here today, and as you mentioned, some really nice base running has him on second base.
What wonderful signs for these Tigers to see these hard-hit line drives straight back up the middle. First, the double from Baker, Metz driving him home, and then Vonderhaar lining that one to center field. Not cheap hits by any means, and up comes the power hitter Brian Schaub, who himself hit 2 home runs yesterday, really got going. After a little bit of a slow start, the catcher Norton trying to throw behind Vonderhaar there, but he'll slide in safely as the ball gets away.
Brian, last night we saw Norton make a couple of really strong throws from behind home plate. Had Ezra Gore absolutely gunned down by quite a large margin, which is something that, we hesitate to say. Really something that we haven't seen with Gore's speed on the base pass, but I think the Tigers certainly cognizant now of the arm that awaits them behind the plate defensively.
And this delivery to Schaub will be away, so Lancor falling behind these past couple of Tiger hitters and now behind 3-0. Schaub certainly used to drawing the walks, and especially after the performance he put up last night, wouldn't be surprised if Lancor wants to pitch around him. Schaub thought he had the walk, but he'll have to come back, having thrown the bat towards the dugout. Umpire calling this one a strike, and will make the count 3-1.
Yeah, Brian, and while it's still early in the game, that strike zone obviously yet to be entirely established. Kind of have to lean towards agreeing with Brian Schaub, as that one looked like it was right up around his hands, crossing that Tigers lettering on his uniform, but just took one more pitch for that free offering to ultimately come to fruition. Now the Tigers recording those 2 outs here in the bottom of the first, continue this rally that's already netted them 2 runs.
It'll bring up Jack Wisniewski. We'll have the opportunity with runners on first and second. So these Tiger bats looking a lot better than they did last weekend against Babson. Losing 2 out of 3 to the Beavers. First pitch into Wisniewski, called a strike on the inner half of the plate. But something you love to see from this team, you know how hard-working they are. They had a scheduled day off on Monday after that series loss, but most of the team, if not everyone, came in for individual hitting sessions with the coaches. As Wisniewski sees that one go high. And chief among those taking the extra BP, Wisniewski, Vonderhaar, Schaub, and you can see what it's resulted in. They were taking those focused swings with Coach Waters, Coach Scannell here at the field, and it's worked out for them so far last night and early today as that breaking ball loops in there for a strike. Lancor gets ahead 1-2, trying to get out of this inning, just allowing the 2 runs.
Yeah, but certainly a tall task here with Wisniewski getting ahead in the count. Not typically something that's been super fruitful for pitchers, as he's someone that's willing to use the entire field and is more often than not looking to simply put the baseball in play, as he did right there.
Yeah, he did take it the other way, but right there was the left fielder Hughes to retire the 3rd out. But the Tigers get on the board early with a couple of runs, hitting the ball hard and getting a couple of doubles to take a 2-0 lead as we head to the top of the second. Tiger fans watching at home hoping that the start of today's baseball game is a sign of things to come, and I know those watching the men's basketball game also hoping that that quick start for the Tigers is a sign of what's to come today, as the Tigers playing in their first ever NCAA tournament appearance since 2014. It has been 8 years now since the Tigers have made the postseason, and Coach Jimmy Smith has led them back. They are playing right now against Whitworth up at Mary Hardin Baylor, and the Tigers have a quick 21-12 lead, so we'll keep an eye on that one and give you scores as the day goes along. They are not the only ones playing today. The women's team also playing in the NCAA tournament. They start at 5:30 against Hardin Simmons. They are on the road in Abilene for that one. So an exciting day of sports all around for Trinity fans, and Corey Cater trying to have a shutdown inning to keep this lead that he's been given 2-0 early. And that pitch low and in for a ball.
It's really the first time in the early season that we've seen Cater with some run support like this. We've seen him work with a couple of one-run leads, especially in that series against Babson last week. But hopefully the Tigers will be able to continue scratching them across here early on, give him some more padding to work with. But you mentioned in the last half about that game against Babson and that one inning that really came back to hurt the Tigers, which Cater gave up 4 earned runs. Outside of that, he was really absolutely spectacular on the day, and it was thanks in large part to the two-seam fastball that we've already seen him display in this one.
This one's popped up behind the plate, and a tough sky to deal with will let the ball drop in there as Tyler Pettit unable to come back and get it. It ended up right near the plate, but in foul territory. So missed opportunity there, but as you were mentioning, Luke, Corey just dealing with one tough inning, but really doing well besides that middle of the game.
Yeah, and even in those tough innings, it was just those 2 innings in that game, first of which he allowed 1 run, the second 4 runs. But in both of those innings, he was able to get a couple of outs. He had the Tigers really close to getting back into the dugout and putting the bats back in the box offensively. But the Tigers ultimately not able to do that without giving up runs. Certainly something that they're going to have to shore up as they move deeper into this year, especially when they have opportunities on ground balls and make errors in the infield. Makes those runs that you give up especially difficult to swallow.
First pitch to Rupp now in the dirt, blocked by Pettit. We've talked already about the defense of the Tigers, had that error in the first inning, and to start off this second won't go down as an error since it was a foul ball. But that dropped pop fly in foul territory, a missed opportunity to retire the leadoff hitter, and instead he ends up at first base. And now a ground ball up the middle, Montreza unable to corral it, and the ball sneaks into center field. The runner will head on over to third, and the Warhawks will have runners on first and third off a couple of defensive miscues from this Tigers defense.
Yeah, we'll see this replay right here. We'll wait for the scorebook decision on whether or not that be an error or a base hit. Certainly a tough play for Montreza as he ranges over to his left, but I think one that this Tiger defense and this pitching staff really anticipates that they'd be able to make.
Absolutely.
It does have the Warhawks in a threatening position after the Tigers were able to scratch a couple of their own, Brian. We talked so much early on the year about that shutdown inning and being able to put the offense back out on the field in a position to balloon the lead even more.
Cater getting ahead of Rupp now with the splitter in there for a strike. We'll see what he goes with here on the 0-1. A fastball up in the zone called a strike. So 0-2 quickly for Cater. Would love a strikeout here to then set up the double play opportunity to get out of the inning. But first things first, this 0-2 count.
Yeah, but I think one thing that is different about this game as opposed to the one we called last Friday is the presence of Tyler Pettit behind the plate. Really instills confidence in a pitcher being able to spike balls in the dirt, but he doesn't need it right there as he blows the fastball by the Warhawk to record the first out of the inning. It's Hughes that goes down on strikes right there, and a huge strikeout from Cater, who helps himself out after the defense unable to come up with that ball up the middle.
And not wasting any time doing so either, going 3 pitches for the strikeout of Hughes. And then it'll bring up the catcher Norton to the plate. But now just one ground ball could end the inning. Cater starts this off with a fastball for a strike. Norton, one recorded at bat yesterday, going 1 for 1, did have the 2 walks as well and scored a run. Hitting .290 last year and driving in over 20 runs. And he lines this one too short. Montreza over to Baker, but the throw gets away from the second baseman. MJ Metz has to recover it in shallow right field. And the infield not doing Cater any favors here. So we'll get a look at the replay. A hard hit ball, but Montreza doing a nice job ranging over to get it. And then the throw over to Baker, just not giving him the opportunity to get the out at second or turn it over to first. And so the Warhawks get on the board here off of that error.
Yeah, I think the way you phrase that really puts it in a good perspective, not giving him the opportunity to get the out at second or put him in a position to make the throw over to first. If you're the Tigers in a situation where you're already up 2, obviously you want to try and get out of the inning early here without giving up any runs, but in situations like that, you need to make sure you come away with 1 and help your pitcher out. Now, the Warhawks remain with runners on first and third because of that ball that got away with only 1 out here in the inning, and they do score a run.
Up at the plate now, David Rubin, who has an opportunity with runners at the corners as well. He skies this one out to right. But that one will get out of play, and Rubin will have to walk on back to the batter's box. Rubin going 1 for 3 last night, scoring a couple of runs and driving in a couple of runs as well. Rubin, the sophomore from Northbrook, Illinois, getting some more playing time after just 9 appearances last year.
Not the easiest to tell from those angles we got on the replay where exactly that one ended up. That one's lifted into what looks to be shallow center field. Jack Baker doing a nice job ranging back, but the runner does tag and will score on that ball that was deposited. Baker doing a nice job to range back and make what looked to be an over-the-shoulder grab. He doesn't travel very deep, but Gore playing really far back in center field. Absolutely no way he'd be able to range forward and make that grab for the Warhawks. Really heads up base running, and they score the tying run here in the top of the second.
Gutsy decision to go there. Baker not deep into the outfield at all, but as you mentioned, making the tough catch and going backwards, so unable to get much power on that throw. And Rupp now taking advantage and scoring the tying run here in the second inning. So just like that, the Warhawks evening up the score at 2 and responding to those runs that the Tigers put up in the first.
not entirely reflective of the way that Cater's thrown thus far in this one. He's done a really nice job. Has been in command of both of those pitches that we see from him to this point, and he's really only induced soft contact. Had a couple of fly balls, one down the right field line that ultimately ended up out of play, but a couple of balls that got bounced in the infield and just Tiger defense unable to come up with them. It's hurt him to this point in the game.
Yeah, with 2 outs in the second inning, Tigers have recorded 5 total outs, and they also have 3 errors. So not the ratio you're looking for, especially against a team that's ranked 6th in the country, as the Warhawks are. You've got to play clean games and put your best effort out there to defeat these top-ranked teams. The Tigers have shown they can do it. They did it last night against the Warhawks. They did it opening weekend in Birmingham against BSC and WashU, both teams ranked in the top 10. Jackson dribbles this one foul towards the Tigers' dugout. The count remains 1-2. Jackson will try to turn the lineup over and bring those heavy hitters at the top of the order to the plate. Jackson, the freshman from Milwaukee. Runner going, but it won't matter as the pitch will hit Jackson, or hit his bat, it looks like. Foul ball will be called.
And certainly a tough break for the Warhawks right there. We'll see this replay. Tough to tell on that right there, but Jackson obviously not reacting as if it hit him. He gets back into the box without any argument.
So the runner goes back to first. Jackson with another opportunity at the plate. This time runner not going. Jackson sends this one into shallow left field. Montreza there to record the out, but the Warhawks do tie this game up at 2, taking advantage of the miscues in the Tiger defense. We'll see if the Tigers can respond in the bottom half of the second. Cade Lancourt back on the mound for the Warhawks, and he'll get a do-over in essence after the Warhawks tied things up at 2. So we are all even here in the bottom of the second. Michael Montreza stepping to the plate. First pitch to him, up and in for a ball. Montreza starting at shortstop in back-to-back days as he looks at that one in for a strike outside. We have seen a lot of rotation at that position in particular. Not only Montreza, we've seen Baker starting over there at short. We've seen Tanner Haney get a start at short. But it seems like Montreza is going to get the opportunity to claim that spot with the back-to-back starts here, and we'll see if he can build on the performance he had yesterday, getting a hit in the Thursday opener of this series. Swings past that one to even up the count at 2-2.
And shortstop, obviously, arguably the most important position on the defensive side of things at a level like this. Montreza has the skill set to be that everyday shortstop for the Tigers, but he does also offer some things in the box. He finished yesterday's game 2 for 3, and he also showed off some speed, something that we saw from him last weekend as well. Someone that can do a number of different things as he pulls that one on the ground to the shortstop. Nice big hop there. Makes that an easy play for Jackson, who throws the ball on over to first for the first out here.
Yeah, Montreza hitting it well, right to his counterpart in the infield, but Jackson doing a nice job retiring the first out of the inning, and it'll bring up the number 9 hitter, Tyler Pettit, the hero of last night's game.
Yeah, Pettit went down 0-2 in the count. Tigers down to their last strike of the bottom of the 9th. We talked about it on the broadcast a lot. His knowledge of the strike zone, the way that he adjusts to it throughout the game, catching for the Tigers defensively, more often than not translates. Does a really nice job of laying off some of the closest pitches that we see Tigers lay off of in any given day. That one that he went down out of the zone and got, pulled it over the left field wall and sent the Tigers all storming to home plate to celebrate with him.
Couple of pitches have been right there, down and away. First one was called for a strike. The second one in the similar location was a ball. That one now a strike to even up the count at 2-2. The catcher Pettit, of course, knowing the strike zone very well, having to be behind the plate. And he lays off of this breaking ball in the dirt, taking the count full.
I think that's something else that we see from him. His defensive play as a catcher, and obviously the way that he handles the entirety of this Tiger pitching staff and bullpen allows him to recognize those pitches, seeing the spin on the baseball on that last breaking ball and laying off of it without a second thought, really.
And he's such a pivotal part of this lineup for many reasons, as we've talked about, what he does behind the plate, but also the leadership he brings after having transferred from the University of the Incarnate Word just across the street here on the other side of Hildebrand. And here doing a nice job drawing the walk and bringing the top of the lineup back to the plate, Jack Baker, who looks at the off-speed delivery for strike 1. Baker lining a double to the left center field gap his first time up, and then coming around on the MJ Mets double.
Going back to a point that you make, Pettit doing a really nice job drawing that walk and turning things over to the top of this Tiger order. It's something that we haven't seen a whole lot from the Trinity lineup to this point in the season. Those 6, 7, 8, 9 hitters, more often than not, coming away empty and turning it over to the top of the order in a fresh inning, which isn't the worst case scenario, but these 1, 2, 3 hitters, obviously some of the best in your lineup. So giving them the opportunity, a guy like Jack Baker, who doesn't typically get that opportunity with runners on base, is absolutely huge.
But Baker confused by the changeup there from Lancor. A couple of them landing there in the zone, but Baker unable to get the bat off his shoulder. And he'll go down looking to bring up Christian Holloway with 2 outs here in the second. Holloway struck out in his first appearance. Runner going, Pettit taking off for second, and he's going to slide in there safely as the ball gets away on the throw from Norton.
I think that's one of the things that this Tiger lineup and coaching staff does really, really well is that they'll send guys in motion really no matter who they are. They just do a great job of capitalizing and sending them at the most opportune times. For a guy in Norton behind the plate, certainly not expecting that 9-hole catcher to be on the move at any point, but for the Tiger coaching staff, recognizing that with 2 outs here in the bottom of the second, it's as good a time as any to send a veteran who's going to do a good job of reading a pitcher and sliding into second base in the best spot, and that's exactly what Pettit did right there to put himself in scoring position.
Norton called a little bit of a timeout just to calm his pitcher down, who now falls behind 3-0 to Holloway. You make an excellent point, Luke. Pettit, the catcher, not one you might expect to steal if you haven't watched the Tigers play, but if you tuned in last season, you know that Pettit had 5 stolen bases and was caught just once. As Holloway swings through that one that was out of the zone, likely ball 4. But Pettit, something I've talked to him about, mentioning that he has some sneaky speed there with those stolen bases, and him saying stolen bases are more about timing than your actual speed. And he's able to take second there. Guess must have seen something from Lancor or the catcher Norton that he was able to get a good jump and slide in there safely. He also told me he doesn't like sliding. He usually likes to take his stolen bases when he can just stand up. But doing the extra work there to reach second, and then Holloway drawing the walk after taking the count full.
And a good job from Holloway to ultimately battle back after that one went full and draw that walk in the end. Especially as you mentioned, Brian, that 4th pitch, that fastball that Holloway swung on 3-0.
To right field his first time up, and looks at the delivery in the zone to go down 0-2 here to Lancor. But Gore, the man the Tigers love in these opportunities, he leads the team with 10 runs batted in. And looking for some more here as he lines that one foul. Good pitch to hit down 0-2, but just a little bit late. Lancor will have to be careful not to put it in a similar spot, because you see Gore all over it. Lancor this time able to loop in a breaking ball that lands right on the outside corner, and will send Gore back to the dugout. You'll see the pitch right here. Close, but right on the corner, says the umpire. And Gore will strand 2 runners as we head to the top of the 3rd here in San Antonio, all tied up between the Warhawks and the Tigers. Leadoff hitter Campbell swinging at the first pitch of this 3rd inning as Corey Cater settles back in. Cater has allowed 2 runs through 2 innings, and none of those earned, however. coming off the 3 errors from the Tiger defense. That has allowed the Warhawks to stay right there after the early runs from Trinity, and now Campbell chops this one to short. Montreza will have to deliver it quickly to Metz, and he does for the first out of the inning. So Campbell, the speedy leadoff hitter, retired for the second time.
Yeah, and a really nice job defensively by Montreza right there. Speedy to the baseball, but as soon as he gets himself in position, really seemed to slow things down, made sure that he fielded it cleanly, and made that strong throw over to first base to retire Campbell, who already had shown his speed on the base pass in this one.
First pitch swinging is Vomhoff as well, but he fans at the delivery up and away. Now the off-speed pitch drops in there for a strike, so a nice job by Cater getting ahead here, 0-2.
And this is a position in which we saw him rely heavily on that two-seam fastball last week. Did a great job with the location where he started it, but that one left too far over the heart of the plate, driven down the left field line. Vonderhaar makes a strong throw into second base, but not before Vomhoff in there with a double here in the top of the third.
And you can see why Vomhoff hit 400 in over 40 games played, 140 at-bats. To have that high of an average is truly remarkable, and a lot of it coming for his ability to hit with 2 strikes, down 0-2, but taking the pitch where it's delivered and getting a double out of it.
Yeah, and you mentioned the delivery of that pitch. Those of you watching at home might have keyed in on where Tyler Pettit had set up on that one, well inside to that left-handed hitter, but that pitch left on the outside part of the plate, allowing Vomhoff to go the other way with it.
DeMeyer the third, Warhawk though to swing at the first pitch of the inning, and he grounds it to the third baseman, who gets the easy out.
And that one, we do see that two-seam fastball with a lot of movement back in on the hands. DeMeyer thinking that one's right over the heart of the plate, but as that one tails in on his hands, he ultimately rolls over on it, and a routine ball in the infield has 2 outs here for the Tigers now.
Cater with the opportunity to strand that double out at second. He'll have to go through the cleanup hitter, Matt Corman. First pitch from Cater in there for a strike. First batter of the inning not to swing at the first pitch. Cater, the big righty, with the 0-1 delivery. And that one in the dirt. Nice block by Pettit. Corman laying off to bring the count to 1-1.
And a great job from Corman right there to lay off of that one. Really a phenomenal pitch by Cater, who starts it right at the bottom of the zone, but Corman really at no point fazed by it. Same thing right there. Cater really going to have to go to something else, one of his firmer offerings. Certainly expect Corman to be sitting on that fastball throughout the rest of this at-bat. Make Cater beat him with that pitch rather than swinging at anything in the dirt.
Big secondary lead from Vomhoff at second. And that fastball tails in, nearly hitting Corman. Instead, it'll leave the cleanup hitter ahead of the count, 3-1. And a dangerous spot to be in against Corman, who hit 8 home runs last year, including the clutch home run in the WIAC championship game, a 3-run home run to put them up 13-9 in the 8th inning. But Cater not attacking him with a fastball, instead getting the curveball in there for a strike. So don't know if Corman was expecting the 3-1 breaking ball there, but Cater doing a nice job keeping him guessing. And now who knows what he'll go with on the 3-2. Cater ready for it. Gets it where he wanted it, Pettit, right where he set up low and in, but it misses just a little low, maybe inside. So Corman will head on over to first and bring up Rupp now, and will also bring a visit to the mound from pitching coach Dave Smith.
Obviously for Cater, not the outcome that he wanted in that at-bat, especially after he dotted that last fastball right where you want it, especially with a catcher like Pettit behind the plate. We talked a lot on the broadcast about his tendency to frame pitches, earn some extra strikes for his guys on the mound, but unable to do so there. But can't be too unhappy with that outcome, especially as Vomhoff remains at second base for the Warhawks. Cater will have another opportunity to get out of this inning unscathed, and really never gave Corman a great pitch to hit in that at-bat. Unfortunately for the big right for the Tigers, Corman did a really spectacular job of laying off those curveballs at the bottom part of the zone. Cater did a nice job to combat that by starting one high and dropping it in there, as he does the same to start off Rupp now right here.
And you've got good options up and down this Whitewater lineup, but you do look at the situation with Corman hitting over 370 last year with those 8 home runs, and you have Rupp now behind him, who had just 4 appearances last year, has yet to make an appearance this year. So when looking at the options, maybe electing to go with Rupp now instead of the cleanup hitter. And Cater getting ahead early, attacking the zone, up 0-2. Gets a little bit of rosin behind the mound and trying to get out of this inning unscathed, keep the game tied at 2. Pettit setting up high, and Cater gets it there. The ground ball going to short, bobbled by Montreza, and the throw to first will be late. Another error in the infield for the Tigers will have the bases loaded for the Warhawks, as a routine ground ball to short that could have been the third out of the inning results in the 4th error of the afternoon for the Tigers.
Yeah, and a bit surprising right there, Brian, after we saw Montreza earlier in this inning do a really nice job of making sure he got to the baseball and then slowing down. Really looked like his feet were just stuck in the infield dirt right there. Not a great job of moving with that batted ball off the bat. Obviously, with runners on board, someone standing in his way in the base path makes it a little bit more difficult to do his job out there at shortstop, and that ball certainly gets on you a little more quickly when you have to pick it up once it's already traveled halfway to you.
Big moment here in the top of the 3rd with the bases loaded. Cater doing a nice job again, getting ahead of the hitter Hughes. He'll be up 1-2. He's been ahead of most of the batters in this inning. Had that 0-2 double from Vomhoff to the opposite field, and then got ahead of the last hitter Rupp now 0-2 before that error at short. Pettit wants it high again, and he gets it there as Cater sends Hughes back to the dugout, and you see the excitement coming from Corey on the mound, as he'll bring the Tigers back up to bat in the bottom of the 3rd. Tigers looking to keep making some noise here in this top 20 matchup. Action-packed couple of first innings here in San Antonio finds us tied at 2 between the Warhawks and the Tigers. Elsewhere, up in Belton, the Trinity men's basketball team holds a 33-30 lead at the half in their first NCAA tournament appearance since 2014. So we are keeping a close eye on that one. Everyone here at Trinity very excited about the season that team has had. And to result in a playoff win would be a spectacular continuation of this season for head coach Jimmy Smith and his team. And back here in San Antonio, MJ Metz at the plate. The off-speed delivery to him fouled towards the Tigers dugout. But we've seen plenty going on here. The Tigers jumping out on top with 2 runs in the bottom of the first. The Warhawks responding with 2 of their own in the second. Both teams have left 4 men on base, most recently Whitewater leaving the bases loaded, but Cater able to strike out Hughes and escape the inning. So now Metz in the cleanup spot will bring up the Tigers lineup that is red hot coming off of last night's 10 runs. And he's behind 1-2 here after that one in the dirt. But the 3 hitters due up in this inning. Red hot for the Tigers, MJ Metz, Jack Vonderhaar, and Brian Schaub. 4, 5, and 6 scheduled. And the first one of those will be retired looking. MJ Metz looking at that one outside. We'll take a look at the replay. The catcher Norton bringing it back in and painting it right there on the corner, and the umpire agreeing that that's a strike. So Vonderhaar now to the plate with 1 retired.
Yeah, and that pitch seemingly in that very narrow portion between that line of the left-handed batter's box and the outside of the plate. But to this point in the game, it's been pretty consistently called a strike. So for the Tigers that continue to come up to the plate here as we continue today, going to have to really make that adjustment and be willing to use the entire field, something that they haven't done incredibly well in this early campaign. But MJ Metz, someone that we have seen do exactly that, including a couple doubles last weekend in that series against Babson, almost left the yard twice with a couple balls that he barreled up and banged off the wall in right field.
The 1-2 to Vonderhaar fouled straight back. Lancor settling in nicely after that first inning. He gave up 3 extremely hard-hit balls, and it looked like the Tigers would really pounce on him, but he's recovered and retired every Tiger since then, save for the walk to Pettit. And another strikeout looking. The umpire rings up Vonderhaar with lots of emotion on that one, and the first 2 Tigers go down looking. It'll bring up Schaub with 2 outs and nobody on, and you see Norton once again taking that pitch that's outside and just ever so subtly bringing it back to the zone and painting a nice picture for the home plate umpire, and it's working for him early on. That's 5 strikeouts for Lancor now. First pitch to Schaub will be up for a ball.
And well, I think the most important thing with any strike zone is that it's consistent and that it gets called both ways. Starting to take a little bit of issue with one that's wider than it is tall. Really difficult for a hitter to do their job when pitcher's allowed to come in on their hands, but also to go almost entirely into that other batter's box, which is what we've seen so far here today. Certainly hope that these Tiger hitters and hitters on both sides able to make the adjustment, but it's a tall task in front of them, as it looks like here early going.
Lancor has been awfully careful with Schaub. But right here, Schaub sends this one right back where it came from for a base hit to center field. So Schaub draws the walk in his first plate appearance and now adds a single to his tally. and he'll give the Tigers an opportunity to get something going here with 2 outs.
And that at bat from Schaub, just a really excellent job of sitting back on the baseball. We know that he's someone that's used to swinging at fastballs. Saw him hit one of his home runs on the fastball yesterday, but the second of the day came on what looked to be a breaking ball that just got left up in the zone. Something that opposing pitchers certainly going to need to be cognizant of as they continue to face him throughout the rest of the year. Really hunting fastballs up, pitches up in the zone, because he's proven to be a line drive hitter, not someone that's going to get under the baseball and lift it up and out a whole lot. As we saw in that last one, he batted back up the middle.
Lancor falling behind once again, this time to Wisniewski, who, as you got a good look as he stepped up to the plate, you might notice the mustache gone after the opening weekend at home. Struggling a little bit in that series against Babson, wanting to change the mojo. Still hitting 190, but went 2 for 3 yesterday, so maybe getting going after that decision. There you got a good look right there. Thank you to our great workers on the camera during the broadcast. The super senior looking young as ever as he draws a walk here that will put Schaub over at second, with Wiz walking over to first, and it looks like a pitching change might be imminent for the Warhawks. This also might just be a trip to the mound to discuss things as Lancor faces a tough situation really for the first time since that first inning.
Mentioned that he's done a really nice job in settling in after he got hit pretty hard and gave up those couple of runs. Obviously, nice to be in a position where you have 2 outs, but we've talked about it extensively already this season. There are no breaks in this Tiger lineup. Montreza, as good a bat as any to have up to the plate after he went 2 for 3. As we said, the last time he stepped into the batter's box, someone that can do a lot and can surprise you with his speed on the base paths. Saw him lay down a bunt yesterday. Don't exactly expect him to do the same here. Someone that can certainly deliver for Trinity in this position.
Immediately following the visit to the mound, Lancor responds with a strike to Montreza, and now a second one as he gets ahead 0-2, quickly ahead of the shortstop. Get a good look at the 6'6" righty who gets Montreza swinging as Norton hangs on to the foul tip. So a hit and a walk in between 3 strikeouts for Lancor. He ends up striking out the side as we head to the top of the 4th. Tie ball game here in San Antonio. Warhawks 2, Tigers 2.
Leading off the Warhawks for the Warhawks, catcher number 29,
Welcome back to San Antonio, where it is a toasty 81 degrees outside. Hard to believe after the weekend we had just 7 days ago when it was in the low 30s, and we know viewers joining from Whitewater, Wisconsin understand our pain. It is currently in the 30s in Wisconsin. So we wish you were here in San Antonio. But we know the Warhawks are excited to be down south. As a pitch from Cater hits the inside corner, will bring Norton down 0-2. The Warhawks from here headed down to Florida for a week-long spring break vacation in which they will play at the Pensacola Blue Wahoo Stadium for the entire week. They've got a good slate of games scheduled as Cater trying to go back in, this time Norton laying off. The Warhawks going to face Rhodes, Carroll, Center, Grinnell, and West Florida over the spring break. And all of those games, as just mentioned, will take place at the AA Stadium of the Pensacola Blue Wahoos. Norton swinging at this pitch with 2 strikes. Montreza deep in the hole, and the throw late, and then gets away from Metz, but the runner will not be able to take advantage. That one of the tougher plays we've seen from Montreza, just unable to get the hustling Norton out at first.
Yeah, obviously, to begin this one, having to range over to his right, looks like maybe a little bit of difficulty getting the ball out of the glove right there, and then ultimately an incredibly long throw to make off that back foot. Just a tough play that I think certainly will go down as a hit for Norton to start here in the top of the 4th inning.
Scorers agree with you, calling that one a single. But either way, it is a runner at first to lead off the inning. And to continue that point about the Warhawks making themselves at home in Florida, they might make themselves at home at AA stadiums, really going to get that feel that they're in the minor leagues, as tomorrow, Game 4 of 4 between the Tigers and Warhawks will actually take place at Nelson Wolff Stadium, home of the AA San Antonio Missions. As Ruben flies this one out for an easy catch for Ezra Gore. That should be a fun one tomorrow here on the west side of San Antonio for both teams to get an opportunity to play in a minor league ballpark.
For Cater here early on, obviously hasn't been helped out a ton by his defense in the field, who haven't had the easiest plays to make defensively through just a couple of innings. But Cater, every time that he's stepped foot back onto the mound after some mishaps in the field, has done a great job in responding, has stayed locked in, and has been unfazed by the errors, coming back, getting the out right there.
Runner going, and Pettit's throw way off. Will have to be tracked down by Montreza. And Pettit talking with the home plate umpire, perhaps saying that he was obstructed by the batter Jackson here. We'll try to get a look at the replay. As you see Pettit still talking with the umpire. Now Coach Scannell coming out to have a discussion as well. Jackson remained in the batter's box and couldn't quite tell if he came in contact with the catcher Pettit. But the throw was way off, uncharacteristically. Almost as if he was throwing to the shortstop, but we know that Pettit not one to do that. Get another look at this replay.
Can't really tell. Obviously, that pitch running in on the hands of Jackson, forcing him to back up a little bit and made him off balance. Didn't look like anything or any obstruction right there came on purpose, but certainly did affect the throw of Pettit.
Yeah, and while we were showing those replays, head coach Tim Scannell came out to have a conversation with the home plate umpire, but whatever was talked about didn't change the result, which is Norton ending up at second with the stolen base. And not a surprise to see these Warhawks off and running. They had 5 stolen bases last night, and they were not caught once. Cater's delivery up and into Jackson Pettit, doing a nice job to keep it close enough to prevent Norton from heading over to third. The Warhawks picking up right where they left off on the base pass, at least last year. Not only first in the WIAC, but 10th in the entire nation with 102 stolen bases as a team. And you put that ability to run against the Tigers' difficulties throwing out runners early this season. Opposing runners are 13 for 15 on stolen base attempts. We mentioned a large part of that Pettit being out the entire weekend against Babson and having to have a rotation back there. Some young catchers, but the Warhawks taking advantage yesterday for 5 stolen bases and now an early one here. Runner going again, and Jackson takes it the other way, and he's going to loop it into right field for a base hit. Runner will score easily as he was sent on the pitch, and the Warhawks have their first lead of the afternoon.
Yeah, and for Cater, again, ending up on the wrong side of some softly hit baseballs. Throughout this entire year, we haven't seen many hitters figure him out and be able to barrel him up consistently. It hasn't mattered. Hitters doing a nice job of doing just enough with the baseball, placing it in some perfect spots to score runners.
Cater will have to bounce back quickly as now the top of the order due up for the Warhawks. Campbell to the plate for the 3rd time. He's been retired a couple of times now. Lays down a bunt. It's a good one. Holloway barehands it, gets it over to Metz for the out. Spectacular play from Holloway coming in from third, ignoring his glove, going with the bare hand and getting the out at first.
It was absolutely necessary that he goes with the bare hand right there. Campbell, not only a spectacular bunt, but has great speed that we've already mentioned a couple of times. Holloway making that look like a routine play.
And actually, it is Wisniewski over there at third. Holloway has made a few starts over there at the hot corner, but it is Jack Wisniewski over there, so Wiz with the nice bare-handed play. The runner does move over to second. And Vomhov swinging past that first pitch from Cater. Hard to tell if that was a true sacrifice attempt from Campbell. He's such a fast runner that with 1 out already retired, you have to think that that was likely for a base hit, and the sacrifice just a bonus if he couldn't reach base. And Vomhov aggressive here. Going to go down 0-2. Now a visit to the mound from catcher Tyler Pettit. Looks like he maybe mentioned something to Jackson over there at second. Can't hear that closely though. But Cater ahead in the count, 0-2. Last time.
Yeah, saw on a different camera angle right there, some more extracurricular activity happening at second base. You have to assume that Pettit was coming out for that mound visit. The runner there, cognizant the possibility of some sign stealing happening, perhaps. Montreza and Jackson interacting. Otherwise, a little shove looked to be exchanged between the two. You see the replay right there. Jackson walking directly into Montreza before that shove came. We'll have a bit of an extended stoppage of play right here. Jackson on the base pass will visit with his coach over there at third base. He'll head back over as Jack Baker and Montreza have a conversation, and tempers die down a little bit here in the top of the 4th inning.
Quite the interesting exchange here for sure. Would love to know what these two teams are saying to each other back and forth. We know these are two proud baseball programs that are used to successful seasons on the diamond. Fans are excited that these two teams out of conference are playing such a strong early season matchup. And you know the Warhawks have to be upset after the loss yesterday, trying to get back at the Tigers. And the temper is definitely flaring here in the top of the 4th. That pitch from Cater in the dirt gets away from Pettit. Jackson will scoot on over to 3rd, and you can hear the Whitewater dugout going wild off of that one.
See the replay right here. This one skipped in there well ahead of the plate. Looks like a fastball that just gets a little bit overthrown. Last night on the broadcast, we talked a little bit about the conditions. I mentioned it's a warm one here in San Antonio and a bit more humid than we've been used to start off the year. Could be playing with the grip on the baseball for Cater. He certainly wouldn't be used to that to this point in the season.
After bouncing it in the dirt, Cater trying to go the opposite direction and getting it high. Vomhoff fouling it off to stay alive, down 1-2 in the count. Get a good look at Vomhoff and the Warhawk dugout. Most Warhawks on their feet here with the runner on 3rd, already taking the lead in the top of the 4th, trying to add to it. Vomhoff waits back on the 2-strike breaking ball, and the dive is unsuccessful over there in left field. Vonderhaar unable to come up with it, and Vomhoff is fired up at second base, his 2nd double of the afternoon. And the Warhawks doubling up the Tigers here, now up 4-2.
Yeah, and you see Tyler Pettit getting up out of that typical catcher stance, hoping for that curveball a little bit lower in the zone. That one stays up just enough for Vomhoff to send it the other way. As you mentioned, nice diving effort by Vonderhaar out there with 2 outs in the inning already. Would have sent the Tigers back to the dugout and saved a run. Instead, the Warhawks scratch another, make it a 4-2 game, and continue to threaten here.
It's the 2nd consecutive time we've seen Vomhoff down 2 strikes in the count and just taking what the pitcher gives him, taking it the other way to left. And it's resulted in a couple of doubles, and this one driving in a run. DeMeyer here laying off a pitch that's up and in. And Cater taking a little breather here behind the mound, picking up the rosin bag and trying to get out of this inning.
You mentioned that rosin bag. Certainly right along the lines of the conditions and the humidity playing a factor on the pitchers here today. The grip of the baseball a little bit different. We've seen that control go maybe just a little bit for Cater in this inning. Obviously that last curveball hung up in the zone enough for Vomhoff to go the other way with it, and it was really the same thing that got Cater in trouble last week against Babson in that inning that they gave up so many runs.
But here he's able to get DeMoyer to commit on the check swing to retire the side. Warhawks do score a couple of runs. Tigers coming out of the dugout to give Cater some encouragement. You see the replay there. DeMoyer just unable to check his swing, and it'll bring the Tigers back to the plate, this time with some work to do to get back in this one. We'll be right back on Tiger Network.
Leading off for the Tigers, center number 28, Tyler.
Welcome back to Tiger Network. Tyler Pettit stepping up to the plate. And he swings at that first pitch, drives it out to left center field. The center fielder going back, and it is off the wall. Pettit rounding second, heading for third, and he is going to stand up at third with a triple. As if this game needed any more energy, Tyler Pettit with a lead-off triple. And who says the catcher isn't fast? A stolen base and now a triple.
And another ball off of his bat that had the chance to leave the yard. He just hit it. If he had just hit it a little bit more to the left, would have cut that lead in half to just 1 run. But a great start here for the Tigers, especially after those extracurricular activities that we saw on the base paths. Warhawks able to score a run, grab a little bit of momentum. The Tigers come right back and strike here early in the bottom of the 4th.
And another one of those swings from Pettit where almost with one hand, looks like it could be a pop-up to short. Instead, it's a triple all the way to the wall. Tremendous power from the catcher, and now Baker will be hit by the pitch. And after we heard the Whitewater dugout very vocal in the last half inning, the Tigers dugout making some noise themselves. Runners at the corners for Trinity, and up to the plate will come Christian Holloway.
See that pitch just getting away, slipping out of the hand of Lancor on the mound. I think you're exactly right. Looked like Pettit just flipped that one out there to left field, and it banged off the wall. Incredibly impressive show of his strength on a pitch that was left up in the zone. That breaking ball, not exactly where Lancor would have wanted it, but Pettit seemingly way out ahead of that one, hit it off the end of his bat, but it still traveled a real long way.
Pitch to Holloway, low and away for a ball. With Baker at first and Pettit at third, wouldn't be surprised at all to see Baker take off. He was tied for the team lead last year with 8 stolen bases, caught just once. And we've seen the Warhawks cause some chaos on the base pass, and there goes Baker from his knees. Norton trying to throw him out. The ball gets away.
Yeah, difficult to tell from that angle right there. Looked like Baker overslid and missed the bag. So we'll see a nice strong throw, especially considering it came from his knees. Assuming the tag didn't get in there on that first attempt. And again, hard to tell whether or not Baker was able to sneak back in there before the tag came the second time around. Ultimately, Tiger recording the first out of the inning at second base.
Yeah, like you said, hard to tell exactly what happened on the drop throw and then the tag on the second attempt. Surprised that with the throw actually going down to second, that the runner Pettit didn't take off. Now the pass ball hits the bricks and will allow Norton to throw out Pettit. An unfortunate series of events here for the Tigers, and you see Lancor mouthing off at Pettit. This ball getting away from Norton, but you see the red bricks right there behind home providing the hard contact. The ball bouncing right back and allowing Lancor to easily get Pettit out. So just like that, an opportunity with runners at the corners and nobody out results in no men on and 2 away with no runs across for Christian Holloway.
And I think on that last one, Lancor turned around, was talking to his catcher behind the plate, Norton. I think got enough of his glove on that one to slow it down. Got the big Trinity Tigers cutout, that maroon behind the plate that you can see in that shot. Looked like the ball kind of just died on that rather than rolling all the way back onto the grass. Didn't get far away enough from Norton to score that run. So he was able to get to that baseball quickly, get it on to Lancor, who did a nice job in covering home plate right there and ultimately recorded the second out of the inning against the Tigers.
Holloway is able to take a couple of close pitches to draw a walk and keep the inning going for Ezra Gore now. So still some opportunities for the Tigers to make some noise. Lancor checking on Holloway over there at first. Gore sends this one the other way, deep to right field, but there will be the right fielder to retire the third out of the inning. DeMeyer taking a couple of steps to get this line drive from Gore. You see he got a good swing on it, and Gore has the power, but DeMeyer getting there in time for the out. So what looked to be a great opportunity for the Tigers ends up in no runs for Trinity. We'll head to the top of the fifth. Wisconsin-Whitewater hanging on to a 4-2 lead here in San Antonio.
Leading off for the Warhawks,
The shadows starting to creep behind home plate as we hit the 4:30 mark on this Friday afternoon. Game 1 of a doubleheader. And Game 2 of this 4-game series between the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater and the Trinity University Tigers. A top 20 battle going on here in San Antonio. Whitewater currently ahead 4-2 as Corman looks at that one for a strike.
Had a really nice job by Pettit on that pitch. Really subtle, but just taking it exactly where it was delivered. Not trying to do too much and framing it, and steals a strike on the bottom part of the zone right there.
Cater trying to get Corman to swing at that one in the dirt, but Corman laying off of that one. Meanwhile, a couple of hours north on I-35, Trinity men's basketball up 57-48 with 6 minutes remaining in the second half. So some exciting developments up in Belton. And a nice layup made by Ben Hanley as we speak. And Cater with the K. So a great moment there for Trinity fans, no matter what sport you're watching.
Yeah, and a great job by Cater, continuing to pitch really strong in this one. Unfortunately, giving up those 2 earned runs that last inning. But as that pitch count continues to creep up, breaking that 70 pitch mark at this point in the game, he continues to throw really strong out there. We should expect him for a couple more innings in this one.
Sometimes that pitch count has been a problem for Cater since he racks up both the walks and strikeouts at such a high rate that he's over the century mark pretty quickly in games, but today not really been an issue, just at 74 in the top of the fifth. And trying to get a couple of breaking balls in a roto loop in there. That one just a little high. We'll take the count to 1-1. You see how bright the sun is as we get a good close look at Cater. And then the shadows of some of the structures here at the ballpark. Nice pitch there to get Rupp now swinging past that breaking ball. So Cater really trusting it here. Gets ahead 1-2. Rupp now 0 for 2 on the day, but reaching on the air in his last time up. Came across to score. The 1-2 sent over to third. Wisniewski with the long throw. Metz trying to use all 6'5" of his frame to corral it, but he won't. And now Rupp now headed to third, where Wisniewski will wait with the tag. Great recovery and great backup off the bad throw. Schaub over there coming in from right field.
And a really, really long throw all the way across the diamond. Not sure exactly where that one hit, but that bounced a lot taller than I think Metz would have expected right there. As Rupp now kind of coasted into second base. Looked like the last minute his eyes turned up to his third base coach, who wanted him to round a little bit harder, thinking he had a chance to make it all the way to third. A little bit of lapse in judgment right there from Rupp now, as he was a little lackadaisical, ultimately cost him. Not a position you want to be in, making the second out of the inning as you try and advance to third base. Could have had a Warhawk in scoring position, but now 2 outs here in the top of the 5th inning for the Tigers.
But also a little confusing because it didn't seem like it was entirely his decision. He was looking at his third base coach. He was kind of coming to a stop at second before he took off, so not sure what the message was there. Couldn't quite get that angle. And also the right field corner, a tough spot for our broadcast, maybe the one little blind spot, but we saw on the replay Schaub was the one coming in from right field to back up the throw. Now Cater trying to get out of the inning, and he will if Pettit is able to throw it onto first cleanly, which he is. So a inning that ends up being 1-2-3 for Cater. We had the air on the throw, but then thrown out at third. We'll bring the Tigers right back up to bat. We'll take a quick break on Tiger Network. Be right back with you. Whitewater Warhawks making their first call to the bullpen. New pitcher on the mound, Sam Payton, the sophomore from Libertyville, Illinois. And they'll have to come in and face the Tiger cleanup hitter, MJ Metz. First pitch from Payton, A strike on the outside corner. Payton standing at 5'11", replacing the 6'6" Cade Lancourt. And MJ Metz lines this delivery from Payton into left field for a base hit. MJ Metz continues his hot hitting at the plate, now a double and a single to his name.
Yeah, and after that first pitch that was really well located by Payton on the outside part of the plate, looked to be a little bit of a breaking ball that hung up right over the middle of the plate, and Metz does exactly what he needs to with that one, well out of front of it, but pulls it and deposits it in front of the left fielder, who does a relatively good job. It's Hughes out there in left field, getting around that baseball and getting it back in quickly to limit Metz just to one bag.
So Metz gets on as the leadoff runner, bringing up Jack Vonderhaar, who knows a little bit about tying games up. He tied things up in the bottom of the 9th yesterday, setting up the dramatic walk-off home run from Pettit. Now has the opportunity as the tying run to do the same. Looks at a fastball in the upper corner for a strike.
And from that last angle we saw over Payton's shoulder looking in at the strike zone, you could see the back of Campbell's head out there in center field. Looks like he's playing Vonderhaar to push the baseball, which we've seen him do quite a bit, but leaving a big gap open, presumably in right center field. Have to think that if he can put a ball in the gap out there, that Metz with his speed, those long legs, he'd be able to come all the way around and make this a one-run ball game.
Payton being careful, keeping an eye on Metz, holding on to the ball before delivering to Vonderhaar, and Vonderhaar sends this one to right center field, and it is caught out there. A great catch as you hear the Whitewater dugout celebrating. Metz having to scurry back to first. It looked like that one was going to get down in the right center field gap. We'll get a good look right here on the replay. Vonderhaar continues to crush the ball this weekend, but a phenomenal diving catch out there to rob him. Campbell going to his left and making the catch.
A much longer way to run, given the fact that, as we mentioned, he wasn't playing straight up in the outfield, but the flags in that last shot, you could see them blowing from right to left, maybe holding that one up in the air just a little bit, just enough for Campbell to ultimately make that diving grab.
So now Brian Schaub at the plate with one away. Metz still at first. And Schaub lines this one the other way. That one is going to get down for a base hit. Metz going over to second. So station to station go these Tigers here in the bottom of the 5th. Couple of good swings off of Payton as he comes in from the bullpen. Of course, that diving catch robbing Vonderhaar, but Metz and Schaub both lining hits into the outfield. And it'll be up to now Jack Wisniewski to try to follow it up. Wisniewski 0 for 1 today. You see hitting 190 on the year.
Wisniewski was another Tiger that stepped to the plate in the bottom of the 9th last night, with the opportunity to win the ball game for these Tigers. Sometimes, Brian, I think we forget about the pop that Wisniewski has in his bat. Certainly someone that can turn on the baseball and deposit it over the wall in right field. Just something that we haven't seen in a little while, but he's a guy that is more than due to do exactly that.
And he gets ahead early here, up 1-0. Payton having to come in from the bullpen and face the heart of this Trinity order. The 1-0 to Wisniewski way outside. So Wiz up 2-0. You see his signature no batting glove look. Wisniewski, even though he's hitting 190 this year, someone the Tigers love to have up with runners in scoring position. Second on the team last year with the 41 runs batted in. When he's at his best, he's hitting the ball the other way. That ball falling outside now, 3-0 to the Tiger third baseman.
You mentioned the fact that when he's at his best, he's going the other way. I think when he's at his absolute best, he's just doing the best that he can with whatever he's given. He's not a hitter in this lineup that tries to force the issue, trying to pull the baseball as that changeup is dropped in there by Payton. More often than not, though, he does really take advantage of those pitches on the outside part of the plate. And as you mentioned, go the other way with the baseball.
Payton able to get that last one in there now. A 3-1 count to Wisniewski. That one in there for a strike as well. On the outside corner, you heard someone yell runner. Metz taking a couple of steps toward third, but staying right there at second. Metz at second and Schaub at first. Now a 3-2 count for Wisniewski. We'll see if there's any action on the base paths with the 3-2 count. Still just one down in the bottom of the fifth. Whitewater holding on to that 4-2 lead, but the Tigers trying to make a dent. Wisniewski fouls it off, and the home plate umpire jumping out to declare a foul ball, making it clear. As Norton jumping up, trying to get the lead runner out at third, but Wisniewski will get another opportunity.
And a good job by Wisniewski on that pitch. Fighting, continue to battle in this at-bat after going up 3-0. Payton with a couple of nice deliveries on pitches on the outside part of the plate. Wisniewski holding the bat, forcing the young pitcher to throw strikes here. Saw that third offering in a row in a similar position, battles it off.
Game slowing down considerably here as the big at-bats pile up. Metz taking a couple of steps again and distracting enough to cause the walk. Wisniewski laying off of that close one. And the bases are loaded here for the Tigers. Michael Montreza will have quite the opportunity to make up for his errors earlier in the game. Bases loaded and just one out here in the bottom of the fifth. Tigers with the perfect opportunity to get right back in this game. And some big moments all across Trinity as that breaking ball loops in as the clock officially hits 0 in Belton. And the Tigers have won their first NCAA men's basketball playoff game since 2012. The Tigers moving on in their regional up in Mary Hardin Baylor. Montreza will try to build on these good vibes. He swings at that one in the dirt. But a phenomenal victory for Trinity men's basketball, winning 77-52, getting some sweet revenge on Whitworth, who has eliminated the Tigers the past couple of times they've made the NCAA playoffs. And we'll hope to see another victory in a little bit. 5:30, the women's basketball team tips off against Hardin-Simmons. And of course, the Tigers right here in San Antonio trying to build off their victory yesterday against the Warhawks. All sorts of exciting action here for the Tigers.
Absolutely, and here in San Antonio with Montreza up in the batter's box. Bases loaded for the Tigers. Obviously a threatening position, but one in which you don't want to try and do too much. You want to put the ball in play and hopefully score one or a couple of runs right here.
And that one nicking Montreza, but the home plate umpire going to keep him right there. Not sure if that hit his bat or if he's going to call it we did see Montreza's elbow right near the ball. Umpire putting his hands up, seeming to signify the hit by pitch, but Montreza still at the plate. The count 1-2. The pitch from Payton sent back up the middle. The shortstop Jackson on to first will get the double play, and the breaks keep going against these Tigers as what looked to be a hit by pitch with the bases loaded to drive a run in ends up in 2 outs and ending the inning. Quite the turn of events here for the second inning in a row, Luke.
Yeah, not entirely clear what happened on that previous pitch that looked to run in and hit Montreza on that lead elbow. But to turn around, that softball up the middle of the field, just in perfect position for Jackson, playing up the middle at shortstop to turn 2. As you mentioned, just a really unfortunate turn of events for the Tigers right there. Incredibly threatening position. But we'll have Cater back out there on the mound looking to hold this one at a 2-run ball game. And with the way that the Tigers have consistently threatened, I'd say that it's far from over here in San Antonio.
And it has been the play of the infield that has been the difference in this one so far. The Tigers unable to turn a couple of double plays early, and they have 4 errors on the afternoon, all coming in the infield, which have led to the Warhawks runs, and now you see Wisconsin on the other end able to turn a big-time double play right when they needed it most. And it just so happened to be Montreza at the plate, who has been on the other end of those errors on Trinity's side. So just a tough afternoon for the shortstop, but still plenty of time, like you mentioned, just going to the top of the 6th. Corey Cater getting ready for his 6th inning of work. Now the 3rd time that he has gone more than 5, as he went 6 innings last week against Babson. And went exactly 5 in the opening day matchup against Lynchburg, in which he had 10 strikeouts. But work to do here, and a first pitch strike to Norton.
As he steps back onto the mound right here, we'll wait for that score bug and the pitch count to update. We saw him last weekend series go well over that century mark. I think he has a ways to go today, as he remains right now at 82 pitches, and a good start here against Norton, ahead in the count 0-2.
Especially considering that yesterday the Tigers did use 4 pitchers, including their starter Zach Garza, who just retired an out in the first inning before being replaced. Jack Martinez did come in to solidify things with 5 innings and just 1 run to really save the bullpen from an extended day. But no doubt that the Tigers want to have Cater go as deep as possible to save these arms for what is a 4-game series and a doubleheader today. Still so much action from San Antonio to come. As Cater ahead 1-2, gets it in under the hands of Norton, who fouls it back to stay alive 1-2. You see right there, Cater getting it right where Pettit wanted it, but Norton staying alive for one more pitch. This time, the breaking ball lands right at the top of the zone for strike 3. Norton had nothing to say about that one as he headed straight for his own dugout for out number 1.
Yeah, an absolutely spectacular pitch right there. I mentioned he dropped it in there right at the top of the zone. Absolutely nothing that Norton could do about that one. Had him absolutely frozen in the batter's box. And Cater continues to throw really, really well here, starting off another hitter in Rubin with that first pitch strike as it's fouled off against the backstop.
And Norton knows a little bit about strikeouts looking. He's been on the receiving end of several close calls that he has framed well behind the plate. But this time playing victim to the strikeout bringing David Rubin to the plate. One out, nobody on, and he'll loop one into left center. Ezra Gore will hold him to a single, but Rubin, they base hit.
See Cater with not a bad delivery right there. Another breaking ball. That one started at the bottom of the zone, but Rubin just with a better piece of hitting as he goes down to get it, throwing the barrel out there and connecting with enough of the baseball to deposit it in the outfield. But another good job by these Trinity outfielders, that time Ezra Gore, rounding the baseball, keeping it in front of him, and limiting the Warhawks to just a single bag.
Following that base hit, Daryl Jackson squaring around a bunt. And he showed that one very early in the delivery, so this is a clear sacrifice attempt, unlike the one we saw from Campbell last time. This time, no bunt shown. Instead, a strike on the outside corner. Pettit receiving that one well and ready for the bunt if it comes, but Jackson looking to swing away at that second delivery. Now the bunt back on, and this one gets away from Pettit, and the bunt won't even have to come from Jackson as the runner will move over on what might be a pass ball. The ball in the dirt, couldn't quite tell if Pettit got a handle on it, but nonetheless a runner now in scoring position for the shortstop Jackson, and the top of the order looming.
Jackson squaring around right there. It certainly makes the task at hand a little bit more difficult for Pettit behind the plate. One, you have to deal with the thought of that bunt ultimately being fruitful for the hitter at the plate, the possibility of having to spring out of the stance and come up to field the ball. But second, Jackson squaring around a bunt certainly obstructs the vision. And in a curveball like that, it's important to be able to read the ball all the way.
Right here, Corey Cater stepping off because we have seen the Warhawks be willing to take third. This time Jackson grounds it to Metz over at first, does a nice job handling that one himself. The runner does move over to third, but 2 outs now. Was curious to see if there was either a stolen base or the bunt still on. Even with the 1 out, when we saw that situation earlier, the Warhawks did take third because Cater, someone who does throw a lot of breaking balls in the dirt, does put some pressure on him and Pettit with the runner on third. But even though the bunt and the stolen base was not on, the runner does end up at third for Zach Campbell. Campbell swings at the first pitch, and he lines this one into right field. So Campbell delivers with 2 outs, driving the run in. The Warhawks extend their lead to 5-2.
Yeah, and Campbell now in his 4th at-bat of the day against Cater. Will be dangerous position for Corey as he continues here in this one. Something that the Tigers were really able to take advantage of in yesterday's action against Weston Muir. Really the 3rd time through the lineup when they began to jump on the pitcher, but now for the Warhawks, 4th opportunity to see the Tiger starter. We haven't really seen a whole lot of offerings out of the repertoire other than that fastball and that breaking ball from Cater here today. So in this 4th time through the order, be important to hopefully mix in something different if he's going to aim to have success and get off the field in just a 3-run ball game.
That time able to dot the fastball on the outside corner. 2 outs here in the top of the 6th, and with the speedy Campbell over there at first, always a threat to go, had 12 stolen bases to lead the Warhawks last year. But you also wonder if you take the bat out of the hands of Vomhoff, who has hit the ball extremely well in his past couple of times at the plate. Is that pitch close, but no strike called by the umpire. So Vomhoff gets ahead 2-1. But Vomhoff, in his last couple of times at the plate, has hit doubles the other way to left, and both coming with 2 strikes. The runner is going here. Breaking ball makes it hard for Pettit to get any sort of strength on that throw. So Campbell, building off his strong season on the base paths last year, gets his first of the season here.
And Brian, you point out probably the biggest factor on that play right there was the fact that it was a breaking ball. Not a great pitch for Pettit to throw on behind the plate. And just really nice timing from Campbell, who did lead this team with 12 stolen bases on the season.
And that ball going to fall fair, as Vomhoff will have double number 3 of the afternoon and add another run batted into his line as well, as the Warhawks now extending their lead to 6-2 on a couple of 2-out run-scoring hits here in the 6th.
Yeah, and again, not a bad pitch by Cater right there, but you mentioned the fact that Vomhoff has already doubled multiple times in this one, and he's done it exactly in that manner. He's been more than willing to take that pitch on the outside part of the plate the other way. And from a pitching standpoint, you have to be cognizant of what the guys that you're facing have already done in the game. Make adjustments based on that. It's not what happened there, and Vomhoff capitalized on it, sending that double down the left field line and squeezing it just inside that foul line.
Yeah, we've mentioned it a couple of times, but it's worth repeating as you see that swing delivering hit after hit off the bat of Vomhoff. But he hit 400 last year with 140 at-bats, just unheard of at any level of baseball. Of course, we had our very own 400 hitter, Rafe Chalmette, for the Tigers, who is now at the Division I level with Boston College. But I think that in and of itself says a lot, that if you hit 400 at the D3 level, you have the talent to then go to D1. And Vomhoff not wasting any time in this opening weekend for Whitewater, continuing his hot bat. And now he is out there at second trying to cause a distraction. DeMeyer now at the plate, still 2 away, but hasn't been a problem so far for the Warhawks. And DeMeyer swings at the first pitch, sends it in the air to center field, but Ezra Gore right there for the 3rd out of the inning. But the Warhawks do add a couple. They now lead 6-2 as we head to the bottom of the 6th here in San Antonio.
Leading off to the Tigers, pitcher number 28, Tyler Pettit.
Welcome back to Tiger Network, where Trinity trails Whitewater 6-2. Tyler Pettit to the plate in the 9-hole in the starting lineup, but for all we know, could be the leadoff hitter with the speed that he's showing today. Has a walk and a stolen base, and last time he came to the plate, led off the inning with a triple. So a good man to be starting things off, and he gets a good swing on that one, but right into the glove of Hughes over there in left field. So not many people hitting the ball harder than Pettit right now, but that one unfortunately right to the Warhawk.
Yeah, not many people hitting the ball harder than Pettit indeed, Brian. But funny enough, another one of those hits where we see that backhand coming off the bat. Looks like he's just flicking it out there effortlessly. But that one, another one that traveled a long way.
First pitch swinging here, Baker chopping it to Jackson at short. And he gets the second out of the inning quickly, so just like that, Holloway coming to the plate, nobody on and 2 away. As the Tigers try to get something going to claw back into this one. They had a 2-0 lead after the first, but the Warhawks have responded with 6 unanswered runs and finds them ahead up 4.
That last pitch, not a bad job from Baker. Fastball hunting at the plate again. His timing just a little bit off on that one. That foot gets down, the swing gets going a little bit too soon, and ultimately rolls over on that one, sending a pretty routine play out to Jackson at shortstop.
One to Holloway is sent to the left side. Jackson with a difficult throw out there. Won't be able to get Holloway. Looked like that one actually bounced off the glove of the third baseman, Rubin. Jackson tried to make the miraculous throw, but Holloway able to beat it out easily. We'll get a good look at the replay here. Ball indeed going off of the third baseman, and then worthwhile effort from Jackson, but unable to get Holloway, bringing up Ezra Gore to the plate. And Ezra Gore swings at the first pitch, but he is frustrated with that one as Jackson ranging over to foul territory to retire the center fielder on just one pitch. So the Tigers' bats that were looking so good in the first have been quieted by Lancourt and now Payton. We are now headed to the top of the 7th inning here in San Antonio. Warhawks up 6-2.
Leading off the Warhawks, designated hitter number 19, Matt Corner.
Top of the 7th here in San Antonio. Corey Cater, today's starter, still on the mound and reaching pitch 100 with that delivery that's in the dirt and gets to the backstop. Matt Corman, the cleanup hitter at the plate, 0 for 1, but did score a run, 1 of 6 for the Warhawks. They have scored 2 runs 3 different times to put them ahead here in the top of the 7th. As that pitch inside to take the count to 2-0. Corman swings at the 2-0, sends a weak ground ball to Baker at second, who comes in, charges, and gets the out at first. So a good job of Cater with the 2-0 count to the power hitter to get him to ground out weakly for the first out.
Exactly right about that. Doing a really nice job, and I think one thing that Cater has in his favor is the fact that that two-seam fastball, pitchers almost always have to go to that fastball when they fall behind in counts. The amount of run on it makes it a little bit deceiving to these opposing pitchers. Corman, that last at bat, expecting that one right over the heart of the plate, but 4 to 5 inches of run towards his hand makes him roll over on that one, keeps it in the infield rather than depositing something in one of the gaps right there. Cater steps off, up 0-2 on Rupp now right here. You have to really reiterate the fact that Cater's performed incredibly well on the day. Given up 6 runs, only 4 of them earned, as that one's chopped to shortstop. Montreza making the strong throw over to Metz, and Cater works well above the century mark here in this one. Just 1 out away from going to full 7 innings. You look back throughout this one, Brian, you highlight the 4 errors that were committed in the infield. The way that runs up a pitch count, makes a line score a little bit uglier, less accurate than the performance that we've truly seen from the Tiger Friday starter.
And something that Corey has to be happy about is how he's been able to limit the walks to this point, as he gets used to swing over the first pitch breaking ball there. Corey's allowed 7 hits on the afternoon, and you mentioned now up to 5 errors from the Tiger defense, but just 2 base on balls. That was the biggest problem in the opening day start, where Corey gave up 5 walks and then had 3 last week against Babson, but Whitewater this time not drawing as many free passes, but they are getting the ball into the outfield with ease. They do so again right here on the single into left field off the bat of Hughes.
You mentioned those 2 walks that Cater has issued to this point, and that's obviously a really low number. But with that hit, the Warhawks just now reached their 8th of the day, which knots them with the total that the Tigers have achieved. So to have 6 runs and only coming on 8 hits and 2 walks has been really the story of this one. The Warhawks have done a nice job with timely hitting, delivering at the points in the game when they've had runners on base. They've only left 6 on, as opposed to Trinity's 10 runners left on base. It was something that they talked a lot about in the loss last Friday against Babson. I'm sure something that they'll focus on here again today.
And right here, another seeing eye single off the bat of Norton, just escaping the dive of Wisniewski, almost in the exact same spot as the hit from Hughes. So not hard contact at all, but just enough to get into left field. So Cater, after retiring the first 2 in this inning, running into a little bit of trouble.
And you have to return to the fact that this, again, is Cater's 4th time through this order. So even though that these deliveries have been really good, Warhawks starting to put just enough barrel on the baseball to sneak the ball past these Tiger infielders.
And the past couple of singles emblematic of what the Warhawks did yesterday, recording 9 hits and 8 runs, but all 9 of those hits were singles. They didn't have a single extra base hit. But today they have 3 doubles, all coming off of the bat of Vomhoff. Runners going, Pettit throwing to second. And the call is safe. A close play over there with Baker charging in to receive the throw But once again, we see these Warhawks willing to run, taking the double steal. Pettit trying to get the trail runner. A good throw right on the mark, but a better jump from Norton. And suddenly, 2 runners in scoring position, and the Warhawks with a chance to really blow this one open if Ruben can make contact and get a base hit here. The 1-1 count. Cater at 111 pitches on the afternoon. Number 112 will be an important one, and it's in the dirt, blocked by Pettit.
Pettit back behind the plate for this series. Shows us right there why, or I guess how, he's been so good in blocking the baseball. Does such a phenomenal job with leading with his shoulders, making sure that the first things that get around the baseball, they play such a huge part for a catcher in determining where those balls that get blocked off the chest protector are ultimately going to end up. Last weekend series, we saw a lot of square shoulders, and we saw the ball kicking off in either direction. But again, Pettit doing a nice job to get them around the baseball, trying to keep it towards home plate and let it die in the dirt right around home plate.
So nice to hear about catching from the former catcher himself, Luke Terry. And the catcher, Pettit, forced to do a little bit more blocking as he gets in front of that one. That does end up being ball 4 as Ruben heads over to first. Bases loaded for the Warhawks, and we'll see if Cater remains in the game to face the 9-hole hitter Jackson. You have to imagine that either way, Jackson will be his final hitter, because if Jackson reaches, that means a couple of more runs have scored. Or if he does retire him, probably not going to come back out for the 8th inning with that pitch count now at 115. But Cater trying to finish the afternoon off on a high note. It's been an up and down outing. His defense has given up 5 errors that have really made this a stressful afternoon from start to finish. Runners on base most innings. No real break for Cater. Always having to deal from the stretch, but trying to get Jackson out here, and he gets in front. Pettit trying to catch the runner over there at third, but Hughes gets back in there. So 0-2 will be the count.
4-run ball game, bases loaded. Don't want to mess around with Jackson right here. We've seen these Warhawk hitters do a nice job of battling. Might as well come right after him right here.
He goes after him with the fastball that Pettit wanted high. Cater got it high, but Jackson doing a nice job to foul it back. We'll do the 0-2 once more.
Really nice pitch right there. Changing eye level right here sets up the opportunity for something low, something off speed. Pettit again, so sure-handed behind the plate. There's been an absolute wall back there and instills confidence in your pitcher.
Cater again going high with that one. And Pettit telling the home plate umpire that that nicked the bat of Jackson, and he'll win that argument as a delayed strike 3 call. We've seen everything in this game, and now the replay here will show the 2-strike delivery apparently going off maybe the knob of the bat. You see Pettit right away saying that hit the bat. The umpire agreeing right away and calling Jackson out. So the Tigers and Cater will certainly take that one. It is time to stretch here in San Antonio. Plenty of time for the Tigers to come back in it, down 4. We'll be right back on Tiger Network. Welcome back to Tiger Network, where Trinity still down 6-2. But Luke and I talking during the break, remembering just last night when the Tigers were down 7-4 in the 7th inning before they came all the way back for that incredible come-from-behind victory with the walk-off home run in the 9th inning off the bat of Tyler Pettit. These Tigers have shown time and time again, especially going back to last year, that no deficit is too large. And if there is one part of the lineup you want up to get things going, it is the 3 due up here, beginning with MJ Metz, who looks at the ball in the dirt.
We've talked about the way that opposing pitchers have attacked MJ to this point. The last time he was up, started him off with a pitch away in the zone, left something on the inside. In the next offering, MJ deposited it in left field. Feel like the more he sees pitches over the middle of the plate in the inside half, like that one right there, he's going to see more opportunities to deposit the ball over the wall out there in left field. Obviously a massive guy at 6'5", a lot of moving parts with his swing, but when he puts everything together, the ball travels a really long way off the bat.
It certainly does travel a long way, and that wind carrying out to left center wouldn't hurt. But right now the Tigers need base runners more than anything. And this 4, 5, and 6 part of the lineup has done the job today, as Metz does get it in the air to left center field. It is carrying, and it is out of here. It catches that jet stream out in left center, and Metz with the solo home run to inch the Tigers back to within 3.
Yeah, and you mentioned the fact that the Tigers certainly need base runners, but they'll have the opportunity still with 0 outs. See this pitch that stays right over the heart of the plate. That one, as you mentioned, just catches that jet stream and sneaks over the wall out there, right to the right of the scoreboard. It seems like that's exactly the spark that the Tigers need right here. As Vonderhaar steps into the box and looks to continue this hot streak for the Tiger Bats. Pop has really gotten going here in San Antonio after the weather warmed up for this weekend series.
So now these 4, 5, and 6 hitters, 6 for 8 on the day with 3 runs batted in. Metz, Vonderhaar, and Schaub living up to the power they are known for. Vonderhaar hitting the ball hard a couple of times this afternoon, robbed once of a hit off of the diving catch by the center fielder. But he had a line drive single in the first, and that time a big swing over the top of that one will send him back to the dugout. So nice job by Payton, bouncing back off the home run with the swinging strikeout.
Yeah, and obviously good job in responding by Payton right there, getting well ahead in the count, delivering that breaking ball to Vonderhaar, who had done a really nice job starting with that home run last night, hitting the fastball. It's exactly what this part of the lineup has done an excellent job of hunting for. Looks like Schaub does the same thing right there, expecting at first pitch, but Payton again pulling the string, jumping ahead 0-1 with another curveball.
Trying to go with the breaking ball again, this time in the dirt. Schaub not offering at it. These Tigers averaging over 9 runs a game a year ago, and they've already put up double digits a couple of times early in the 2022 campaign, so they are never out of a ball game. Payton ready to deliver the 1-2. Letting Schaub settle into the batter's box, and that breaking ball will hit Schaub, who kindly turns around and welcomes the runner for the Tigers. We mentioned the Tigers will do anything to get runners on board, including taking the hit by pitch there, as Schaub did.
Yeah, exactly right, especially in a situation where you fall behind 1-2. Incredibly important to just find your way onto base at that point. It's exactly what Schaub does right there, but that hit by pitch will utter a mound visit for the Warhawks here in the top of the 7th after the Tigers gain a little bit of momentum, trying to get back into this one the same way they did yesterday's action in the bottom of the 7th.
And just worth repeating how great it is to see these two teams facing off early in the year to prestigious, storied baseball programs at the D3 level. The Wisconsin-Whitewater Warhawks winning 2 World Series championships in 2005 and 14, 23 total appearances in the NCAA tournament. The Tigers, of course, winning that national championship back in 2016. They have double-digit tournament appearances themselves, so really doesn't get any better than Trinity and Whitewater at the D3 level. And to see them facing off against one another in March, something that D3 fans across the country love to see. And we have gotten 2 good ball games already. The Tigers with that dramatic victory last night and now trying to come back in Game 2. And thankfully we have 2 more after this, not only the second game of the doubleheader tonight, but that game tomorrow, once again, that is happening at Wolf Stadium, home of the Missions. So plenty of good baseball left for these two teams, as Payton, trying to work himself out of this inning, gets the strike called on Wisniewski to even up the count at 1-1. Payton coming in out of the bullpen to replace Lancourt. He's given up 4 hits, has 1 walk and 1 strikeout since coming in. And that one in the dirt. Norton coming out ready to throw behind Schaub if needed, but Schaub staying right there. Wisniewski does get ahead here, 2-1. Payton, the sophomore from Libertyville, Illinois, trying to keep his team ahead. But that off-speed delivery goes well outside, and Wisniewski in the driver's seat here, 3-1. Jack taking a long look at his bat before stepping back up to the plate. The 3-1-2 Wisniewski just on the outside corner. Norton handling that one well to show the umpire it was in there. Now a 3-2 count. Schaub over there at first. Another one of those guys who have plenty of power but also plenty of speed. So we'll see if anything is on.
Wisniewski, same count that he had in his last at-bat, ultimately able to draw the walk, but puts that one back up the middle, and it sneaks by the second baseman of the Warhawks all the way into center field. So as you mentioned earlier this inning, Tigers needing base runners is exactly what they get after the solo home run off the bat of MJ Metz.
And finally, one that goes up the middle goes the way of the Tigers. So much this season, when we see a ground ball up the middle, it seems to go right to the glove of a Warhawk. But that one, like you said, sneaking into center field. And it'll bring up a pinch hitter here in a key situation. Coming into bat for Mike Montreza is the outfielder, Evan McDonald. McDonald, the junior from Pflugerville, Texas.
And he's been exactly what the Tigers have needed in this pinch hitter role so far this season. 4 at-bats in 2 games. He's delivered a couple of RBIs for the Tigers this year, as Payton will step off the mound. It looks like there will ultimately be a pitching change right here for the Warhawks.
And an entire infield visit as well to send off Payton. So the pinch hitter drawing the change, bringing a new pitcher to the mound for Wisconsin-Whitewater. We'll take a quick break on Tiger Network ahead of this big moment. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Tiger Network, where a collegiate debut is about to be made in quite the difficult situation for the Warhawks. Coming in from the bullpen is the freshman Eli Frank. The first time he's appeared in the purple and gray, and he faces the pinch hitter Evan McDonald, who looks at that first delivery outside for a ball. McDonald transferring to Trinity a couple of seasons ago from Prairie View A&M, and as you talked about before the break, has been a go-to pinch hitter, especially early in this season, and he's trying to come up big. In this situation, looks at a strike there, so 1-1. But McDonald has power in that bat, and as we saw, the wind blowing out to left center field, MJ Metz just this inning coming up with a solo home run. Would be quite the time for another fly ball to get in that jet stream and tie things up. We'll see what McDonald has. Frank's delivery just a little fast for McDonald. So he's ahead 1-2.
Yeah, but a nice hearty cut from McDonald right there. Looks like that one was just in there ahead of his bat, maybe right over the top of it. So McDonald right on these pitches from Frank right here for the freshman. Important not to be too close to the zone with any delivery. It's really a good competitive pitch, one that we've seen the umpire call for a strike at times today, but not incredibly consistently. So nice job from McDonald to lay off that pitch, force the count even at 2-2 here.
A real difficult take there with 2 strikes, but paying off for McDonald as the count even at 2-2. That one in almost the exact same spot, and tough to take it 2 times in a row. This time rung up for strike 3.
Yeah, and that one maybe a tad closer to the zone, but Brian, I think neither of us figured those were pitches that McDonald would take in that situation right there. Both of them a little bit too close for comfort, and ultimately something that you figure a veteran like McDonald is capable of doing something with, especially if these Tiger hitters show the willingness to go the other way with a baseball. Those are balls that can be hard hit down that right field line and could potentially score a run.
Frank's first pitch to the new hitter, trying to loop that breaking ball, but Pettit not going to chase, and he did it yesterday in a big moment. Can he come through once again? Tyler Pettit with a couple of runners on, 2 outs. That pitch away for a strike. But Pettit hitting the ball hard throughout this afternoon. He sent that triple off the wall, and he also lined out right to the left fielder, but hit it on the buttons. So we'll see what he does here on the 1-1. Big swing, missing it to take it to 1-2. You can see McDonald and Pettit desperately wanting to drive a ball and tie this game up or send it to the gap to bring them just a little bit closer here. Frank so far doing a nice job blowing it past these 2 Tiger hitters, but he'll have to do it one more time. The 1-2, and Pettit swings and misses. The bat flies towards the Tiger dugout. And the Tigers strand 2 runners here in the 7th. They do get 1 to get a little bit closer here as we head to the 8th. The Warhawks remain ahead 6-3 here in San Antonio.
second, number 7, Jack Baker, and at third base, number 10, Jack Vonderhoff. Top of the order, please. Center fielder number 1, Zach Campbell.
The afternoon is complete for starter Corey Cater, who went 7 innings, gave up 9 hits, 6 runs, 4 of which were earned. And it is time for a new Tiger pitcher on the mound. It is Cam Sheets. Sheets making his first appearance of the season. And he'll try to keep things right where they're at for the Tiger bats to try and come back. And the first hitter against Sheets, a ground ball to the right side, but that was going to be tough right off the bat. We've talked throughout the day Campbell with tremendous speed at the top of the order. And it was going to be tough to get this one. Vonderhaar now at first base, coming in from left field, ranging to his right. But Sheets not getting to the bag in time, and Campbell sliding in for the leadoff hit.
That one obviously batted to the perfect spot in the infield. Made it a really difficult play for Vonderhaar to have to range all the way over. But ultimately, seemed like Campbell's diving effort over there at first base allowed him to get that hand in there just ahead of Sheets' right foot hitting the bag.
That breaking ball from Sheets in there for a strike to Vomhoff, who has had an incredible day at the plate. 3 for 4 with 3 doubles. And they have all been hit to the opposite field, out to left field. And he's done it on a couple of occasions with 2 strikes on him. So here, Sheets will have to work hard to retire him. That one close on the outside, but just off the corner. One advantage for Sheets to try to neutralize Campbell at first. Being a left-handed pitcher looking right at him. Runner is going there though. Vomhoff connecting and sending it right to where Baker vacated at second. So a little hit and run action for the Warhawks goes to perfection. And Vomhoff has his 4th hit of the afternoon. And on that replay, you see Baker at second, the one that was going to cover the bag. Oftentimes you see with a left-handed hitter, the shortstop covering. But like so many things today, going perfectly for the Warhawks. And now runners at the corners with nobody out. DeMeyer swinging at the first pitch. It's gathered over there, and the long throw made. It is now MJ Metz who has gone from first to third, and he's tested early after that change. As he gets DeMeyer out at first, the runner does move up to second, but a big first out retired by Cam Sheets.
Yeah, really nice job from Metz right there, pausing, ensuring that that runner is staying put at third base, and then delivering what was another really long throw all the way across the diamond. Saw one get away from the Tigers earlier on in the game, ultimately lead to some runs for the Warhawks. Good job, a tall, rangy third baseman in Metz.
Sheets made a couple of appearances last year, throwing 5 2/3 innings, recording an ERA of just over 3. But this is the first time he's appeared on the mound in the 2022 season. Sheets out of Houston, Texas. Standing at 6'2" there from the left side of the mound. And he's able to get a breaking ball in there for a strike. So the cleanup hitter, Corman, down 1-2.
Yeah, and a nice job of Sheets coming into this game and immediately being cognizant of the strike zone that's been there pretty consistently today.
Corman connecting with this 2-strike delivery. Gore sliding in to make the catch. No, fell right in front of him, and the run will score. So Corman doing his job with 2 strikes and less than 2 outs, just sending it into the outfield.
Already on the broadcast, we've talked about the wind blowing out to left field. I think it's really affected the positioning that Gord has played with here in this one. We've seen him playing fairly deep in center field all game long, and obviously he has spectacular speed in that position. Looks like the score bug is updated. They will rule that Gore made that catch in center field, and Vomhoff will remain at second base, but the Warhawks grab another run, push the lead back to 4 here in the top of the 8th.
Yeah, Luke, the shadows difficult for not just the hitters, but the broadcasters as well. Couldn't quite tell if the ball fell in, but it was caught by Gore. The run did come in to score, pushing that lead back out to 4 after the Tigers had just cut it down to 3. And Whitewater still with an opportunity with the runner on second. We're up now 0 for 4 on the day. He looks at that one inside, close, but no call. So a 3-0 count for the first baseman. And that pitch nowhere close as ball 4 thrown to Rupp now.
For the Tigers, the 4-pitch walk right there, obviously not favorable, but a better alternative to base hit. Vomhoff camped out there at second base.
Now 5 straight balls delivered by Sheets as that one looked to be around the outside corner, but it was intended to go in, so the umpire not awarding it to Cam. And now Hughes fouling that one back, finally getting back in the strike zone is Sheets. Hughes, the sophomore from Janesville, Wisconsin, looking to add another tally to the Warhawks column. He's ahead of the count, 2-1 here. Hughes pinch ran last night before getting the start in the lineup today.
For Sheets, a really nice adjustment right there. Pretty consistently missing arm side. Something that typically happens when your timing is off, that arm falls down and trails the rest of your mechanics just a little bit. Difficult thing to adjust in the middle of an at-bat, but he seemed to figure it out right there as he came back with 2 straight strikes. A really nice breaking ball that had Hughes well out in front of it.
Nice job by Sheets, limiting the damage to just the 1 run. Whitewater does extend their lead back up to 4, but the Tigers coming to the plate, looking to get back into this one.
Top of the order, once again, Jack Baker.
Top of the order up to the plate, trying to get something going for the Tigers. Jack Baker will be the one to go up against Frank here, who gets that first pitch in there for a strike. Baker 1 for 3 on the afternoon, led off the game with a ringing double to the fence, came around to score on the MJ Mets base hit, but he has been quiet ever since. Baker grounds this one up the middle. Jackson, no problem handling that one, and he'll retire Baker on just 2 pitches.
Yeah, but Baker doing a better job right there with his timing. The first ball barreled up against Frank from the Tigers. Frank enters this one 6'3", 225. You have to imagine that he's coming into the game with a little bit more velocity than Payton, who threw before him at 5'11", 185. Really played a big part in that last half inning. The Tigers were threatening. He was able to pump those fastballs by the likes of McDonald and Pettit in such a key moment.
For these Whitewater Warhawks, perhaps what jumps out at first glance are those incredible offensive numbers that they put up a year ago. They're in the top 10 of batting average and slugging percentage, leading the entire nation in doubles and averaging over 9 runs a game. But if you look beyond that, their performance on the mound equally as good. 12th in the nation with an ERA at 2.95 as a staff. So yesterday's performance, in which they gave up 10 runs, pretty uncharacteristic, as Holloway is able to muscle through a single into right field. Holloway gets his second base hit of the afternoon.
And a really nice piece of hitting right there. Call that an inside-out swing. That one looked to have a little bit of two-seam movement on it, ran back in on the hands, but Holloway did a good job of just pulling those straight through, trying to get as much of the barrel on the baseball as he could right there. And he got just enough to sneak it through the right side of the infield.
Gore swinging at the first pitch yet again, and he sends this one out to right, but once again, right to the right fielder. DeMeyer now a couple of times has caught the ball off of the bat of Gore. So Gore now 0 for 5 on the day. One of the Tigers that had been hitting the ball better than most early on in this season has been kept quiet by the Whitewater pitching staff.
Yeah, and if you're not following this team closely, Brian, then certainly going to look to the line scores and the box scores and see an 0 for 5 day from Gore, but obviously not reflective of the way that he's swinging the bat right now. Just unfortunate with the placement on some of these.
First delivery from Frank to Metz is a little bit low. Metz crushing a home run in his last at-bat. A solo shot just to the right of the scoreboard in left center field, upping his average to a whopping .448 here in the third series of the year. That pitch to Metz outside as well, so the first baseman turned third baseman in this game, now ahead 2-0. Frank making his debut in college, came into a tough spot and got out of it, and now trying to keep the lead. Dangerous pitch there to Metz, but MJ not able to get a hold of it.
Yeah, Brian, we mentioned more velocity. It'd be hard to imagine that more velocity would be any issue for MJ Metz. We talked a little bit on the broadcast last night about the summer that he had out in Vermont, playing with the Vermont Lake Monsters. Talked a little bit about what Brian Schaub said about his teammate as he joined him up for the summer. Just the streak, weeks that he spent barreling baseballs into the gaps against some of the top competition in the nation across multiple levels of collegiate baseball. It's prepared him really well for scenarios like this. 2-2 count, 2 outs here in the bottom of the 8th with his team trailing by 4 runs.
MJ doing a nice job laying off of that one. The count will go full. Luke, I know you wrote a fantastic story about MJ in the Trinitonian. So if you have some time, go check that out. The newly named sports editor of the Trinitonian, Luke Terry.
Certainly appreciate the shout out, Brian, but you know that I wouldn't be in that position without your help. So happy to have joined that Trinitonian staff under your supervision and to be on the call in large part because of you.
Well, anytime there is someone as passionate about baseball and sports in general as myself, I love making that connection. So when you reached out, was happy to help in any way I could. And who would have thought that just a year ago, when the world was in a very different place with COVID, that we would turn an Instagram DM into a broadcasting duo, and now you becoming the sports editor.
I know, crazy what a year can do, and crazy to think that that was almost 1 full year ago. Time certainly has flown by. So many different things that we've gotten the opportunity to do. Jumping on these baseball broadcasts again now, almost a year later, but having the opportunity to talk about, call games for multiple sports, including both basketball teams, including the women's team that's now in action at Hardin-Simmons University. Second quarter just getting underway as Vonderhaar fouls that pitch back. Now down 0-2. The Trinity women off to a good start against Hardin-Simmons Cowboys. They lead it by 8 points. The second quarter just underway.
And I know I am very stressed about that outcome today. As you said, we've gotten to very closely follow both basketball teams, and that women's team winners of 24 in a row. Just truly a spectacular squad. I want to see them do well right here. Vonderhaar grounding it to second and causing some issues there for Vomhoff. Vonderhaar continues to hit the ball hard, even on the ground. And Vomhoff unable to get that over to first. And the bases will be loaded for Brian Schaub, hitter of 2 home runs yesterday. Top 10 in home runs in Division III last year. 14 of them. Don't think it's the guy that Frank wants to face here at all.
Absolutely not, Brian. And have a little bit of a discussion on the mound once again right here. We'll see ultimately what happens. We've talked already extensively about Eli Frank throwing for the Warhawks right now and the velocity that he's brought into this game. Certainly a difficult thing to adjust to in the middle of the inning for these Tiger hitters. It's what we saw in the bottom of the 7th, but they've had significant time to prepare, and now Brian Schaub, who hunts the fastball, will certainly welcome the added velocity from this Warhawk freshman.
And the freshman did a nice job escaping trouble last inning, but now has gotten himself into this jam. The freshman from Suamico, Wisconsin, getting quite a first taste at college baseball here. Bases loaded for Schaub. He looks at the first pitch in there for a strike. No Tiger fans on the edge of their seats here.
A really good delivery by Frank right there. Key to this at bat is that he keeps the ball down in the zone. Don't want anything up around that belt for Schaub. It's exactly what he wants to turn on right here.
0-1 to Schaub. Low near the dirt.
You have to wonder what the topic was that last conversation on the mound. Obviously, you have a 4-run lead. Don't want to mess around with Schaub, who can tie this game in a heartbeat.
I think the message was don't allow a grand slam. And we'll see the message is received.
I think it's a pretty straightforward one, but it's a bit of a taller task than you might imagine against this Tiger hitter.
Frank gets Schaub to just dribble it to the right side. So the message apparently was received by the freshman pitcher as the powerful Schaub is retired. You see the replay right here. The 1-1 count, and Frank able to get that fastball in on the hands of Schaub. And the Warhawks continue to escape these dangerous situations now. In double digits of runners left on base are these Tigers. We are headed to the 9th inning in San Antonio. Whitewater ahead 7-3.
Leading off the Warhawks, catcher number 29, Ryan.
Time for the top of the 9th here at Trinity University. And time for another collegiate debut. It's that first pitch in from Luke Pfeiffer for a ball. Pfeiffer making his first appearance in a Trinity uniform. The first year from Valencia, California. The 2-0 there to Norton. Good swing put on it, but straight back into the fence, and Pfeiffer trying to fight back. Down 2-1 now. Get a good look at Pfeiffer there, standing at 5'10". And that breaking ball goes in there nicely to even this count back up. We saw a great performance yesterday out of the bullpen from another first-year pitcher, Jack Martinez, coming in and really saving the bullpen, throwing 5 innings, allowing just 1 run. Now fellow first-year Luke Pfeiffer trying to follow in those footsteps, but he hits his first batter that he faces, Norton. Turned around, told the umpire that got a piece of him, and umpire is saying, go right along to first.
You mentioned the performance of Jack Martinez yesterday. Coming into that one as the second arm out of the bullpen, doing just a spectacular job. Perhaps a little bit overlooked based on the 4 home runs that we saw in that one. A couple off the bat of Brian Schaub, and then Vonderhaar tying it, Pettit ultimately winning it in the bottom of the 9th. But Tigers were in a position to do so, thanks largely to the pitching and that performance of Martinez, who came in and delivered a performance that the Tigers have really desired out of their bullpen arms. Just being put in any opportunity to come out and compete and throw strikes, something that they've been wanting and looking for.
If you throw strikes, you'll be on the mound. And Pfeiffer trying to show that he can do that and delivers a strike right there to the heart of the plate to get back at 2-2 against Rubin. Rubin having a nice afternoon at the plate, 1 for 2, also drawing a walk, driving in a run, and scoring a run. So he's done a little bit of everything. The 2-2 chopped right back to Pfeiffer. The runner was off with that pitch. So the only option is to get the out at first, which Pfeiffer does. Norton moves on over to second, but 1 out now here in the top of the 9th.
It's something I think that we haven't really discussed a whole lot. It has certainly been present in this series, and it's been incredibly impressive to see out of a baseball team that's playing their first couple of games in this 2022 campaign has been the situational hitting by these Whitewater Warhawks. They've done a really good job on those hit and runs. Not always an easy task to put the baseball in play. Not an easy task to put the bat on the ball. Not an easy task to keep it in play, in fair territory. That's exactly what they've done, and they've broken up or taken away the opportunity for some Tiger double plays up the middle, and I think they've extended some innings because of the success that they've had with it.
I think you're exactly right. Really hasn't been a hit parade in terms of hard hit balls throughout this afternoon, but just getting the ball in play, sneaking it into the outfield into the right spot. We've seen a couple of hard hit balls, especially off the bat of Vomhoff, but other than that, it's just been putting it in the right place, and 11 hits now for the Warhawks. So it's clearly working. The Tigers themselves have 11 hits, but the difference there, 15 runners left on base, and then you also add in the 5 errors by this defense. Could be a very different ball game if you even take away half of those. Jackson goes down and loops that one foul towards his own dugout. Vonderhaar giving it a look. But the count will remain 1-2. Pfeiffer readies the 1-2. He fires that one in there, but Jackson continues to stay alive. Yesterday's loss for the Warhawks maybe bringing some nightmares for Whitewater fans who saw their season come to an end last year on a walk-off home run in the NCAA Regional against number 10 Adrian, and then they see their season start exactly the same way, losing on a walk-off home run yesterday to Trinity. That one grounded the other way. Baker comes in and retires the second out of the inning. Top of the order now, coming back up to the plate, Campbell with an opportunity to add another insurance run for the Warhawks.
Pfeiffer doing a nice job right there, starting the leadoff hitter, the hitter in the 1 hole at least for the Warhawks tonight with that breaking ball. Similar offering right there, starting that one at the bottom of the zone, tempting Campbell just enough for the umpire to say that he committed and did go around. So Pfeiffer now ahead in the count, 0-2, opportunity to bring the Tiger bats back into the box.
Strike 3 called. Pfeiffer dots it on the corner and retires Campbell. So the Tigers one last opportunity to come back in this one. They are down 4 headed to the bottom of the 9th, but these Tigers never say die, and we'll see what they have as we come back after a quick break. Well, Luke, he's had an incredible day at the plate, so why not take a trip to the mound to try to finish off a victory? The new pitcher for the Warhawks will be none other than Sam Vomhoff, who is 4 for 5 as a hitter, but now entering as a pitcher.
Yeah, and with a little bit of a smaller sample size on the 2021 campaign, he came into 4 games, threw 3 2/3 innings, but he finished with an ERA that was inflated up closer to 10 runs. So a good spot for him to come into and get his first appearance of the year, already ahead by 4 runs against the Tigers. But as you mentioned, in the close of the top of the 9th, he will have his work cut out for him here. There's no breaks in this Tiger batting order. And it won't start off easily against Jack Wisniewski right here.
But you see, Major League Baseball might be in a lockout, but we have the pitcher-hitter combo here replacing Ohtani. Tune in right here to Tiger Network. You never know what you'll see. First pitch, a sharp delivery from Vomhoff. That paints the outside corner, gets ahead 0-1. Wisniewski 1 for 2 on the day, has drawn a couple of walks. So perhaps a sign that he is seeing the ball better. Had a couple of hits last night, one this afternoon, and you add those base on balls, so that extra work in the cage starting to pay off, and you have to imagine it'll only get better as he gets even more at-bats throughout this season. But right now down 0-2. Catcher Norton wanted it high, and Vomhoff a little too high there. Wisniewski laying off.
A bit peculiar to have your second baseman come in out of his defensive positioning in the infield and get onto the mound. I don't think it's typically a combination that we see out of many guys, but Vomhoff at 6'4" certainly has the skills and the tools to be an incredible pitcher, and he shows them off right there with a nice big breaking ball that he drops in there for a called strike 3. Catching Wisniewski looking right there, and has the Tiger veteran super senior down on strikes.
And that right there is no easy task to strike out Jack Wisniewski. In 143 at-bats last year, Wisniewski striking out just 8 times. This year, just the 3rd time that the third baseman has struck out. And especially when you get him looking, that's when you know you've really thrown a good pitch in there. And now Vomhoff dealing with the Tiger pinch hitter, Jack Peterson, into action for the first time. He's in the slot that Michael Montrez started in at short. Then he was replaced by Evan McDonald, and now Peterson batting in his place. Peterson often used as a pinch runner and as a defensive replacement. Looks at that one away for ball 2. Meanwhile, up in Abilene, the women's basketball team headed to the half, tied at 27 with Hardin-Simmons. So quite the close game that we will all be watching as this day continues. Reminder, stay right here on Tiger Network for game 2 of the doubleheader as Peterson connects with this one. Lofts it into right field, and it'll bounce off the wall. Peterson will glide into second base with the double. Maybe some signs of life here. You hear the Tiger dugout.
We've seen already Vomhoff and a lot of the pitchers on both of these staffs really displaying their two-seam fastballs early in the season. That one didn't have nearly as much break on it. Movement really kept it over the center of the plate. Peterson doing a nice job of turning on that one and depositing it in the outfield, giving the Tigers a little bit of momentum right here as Pettit in the 9-hole steps up to the plate, looking to turn the order back over.
Pettit striking out in his last at-bat, leaving a couple of runners on base in the 7th inning. At that point, the Tigers trailed by 3. We're looking to get closer. But Pettit struck out this time, though, sends it to right field, and it drops in there in fair territory. DeMeyer unable to get to that one. Peterson waiting to see if it would fall, will stop at third. But the Tigers, runners at the corners here with 1 down, and the top of the order coming to bat.
Yeah, looks a lot like the at-bats and the approaches that these Warhawks had earlier in the game, being satisfied with some balls that just dropped in front of some defensive players. Now for the Tigers, taking the same approach, hoping that it pays dividends as they still trail here by 4 runs in the bottom of the 9th. Now turns the lineup back over. Jack Baker will step back in.
First pitch to Baker. A strike called. In to run for Pettit over there at first base is the pinch runner, Ty Preston. So some real speed on the bases out there with Peterson at third, Preston at first. Baker looking to bring him home. He lines that one, but it'll go foul. A good swing on that one, really turning on it. But unfortunately for him, will be fouled. Now 0-2 the count.
In position right here with the game on the line. Have to assume Vomhoff's not going to give him anything over the heart of the plate. Typically in these situations, we've seen these pitchers go away from the hitters. For Baker, have to be willing to go the other way with it.
Trying to get Baker there on the pitch low and away, but it's ruled a ball. Baker doing a nice job laying off of a tough pitch with 2 strikes, so he now awaits the 1-2 count. Have to think anything in the gap would score a couple, but Baker just trying to keep things going here. The 1-2, and it'll hit Baker. And don't look now, but the bases are loaded for these Tigers. Tying run coming to the plate in the form of Christian Holloway.
Yeah, Brian, and eerily similar to the circumstances that we saw last night. But I think you're right. These Tigers just trying to pass the baton, as we like to say here on Tiger Network. Let these guys continue to step up into the batter's box. Let everyone play a role in a comeback or a potential comeback rather than trying to swing for the fences. It's when you see these teams get into trouble, and trying to get outside of yourself could really quickly lead to the second out here in the inning. It's Norton behind the plate, trying to appeal down to second base, but the home plate umpire eventually granted it. But with the field umpire out there in front of second base, he's really not in a position to really call or read whether or not that bat went all the way around. Ultimately, Holloway let off the hook right there. He'll be ahead in the count 1-0 after play resumes following the meeting on the mound.
And this is the exact same scenario we saw when Brian Schaub came to the plate with the bases loaded. An entire visit from the infield and the pitching coach to settle down the pitcher. At the time, it was Frank. We were wondering what the message was at the time. We joked that it was to not give up a grand slam. It worked that time. We'll see what the message is this time, as Holloway is ahead in the count 1-0. Vomhoff coming in from second base to try to close this one out on the mound. He's had a great day at the plate, but the Tigers trying to ruin it here in the 9th. A strike called outside on Holloway.
That's exactly what you figured he was going to need to do to have success right here. On the flip side, the Tigers have to deal with what they're given with try and have a different approach, go the other way with the baseball.
Holloway bounces it up the middle, 6-4 to 3. And another timely double play costs the Tigers. So just how we started this game, we end it with the infield play, really swaying things towards the Warhawks. Tigers just unable to deliver in the key moments and unable to overcome the 5 errors that you see in the box score. And they end up leaving 16 men on base, make that 17 left on base, and just not the way to beat a team that's ranked 6th in the country, Luke.
No, you're absolutely right about that. You look at the line scores today, the way both of these teams performed, pretty similar in regards to Trinity finishing with 13 hits and 11 from Whitewater, but it's just the situational hitting coming through in big moments. It's exactly what the Warhawks were able to do today, and it's what Trinity really struggled with. They left the bases loaded several times with the opportunity to really get back into things, but you got to tip the hat to the Warhawks in the first game of the doubleheader. They did what they needed to shut down what looked to be a couple of rallies for Trinity. You look at things from the other side, from the defensive perspective, Trinity had 5 errors in this one. The defense looked pretty shaky at times, especially early on. You have to feel like you sure up one of those things, you could be in a tie run or a tie game right now. We could still be playing.
Absolutely. The opportunities were there. The Tigers just unable to capitalize. For the Warhawks, though, the most valuable player of this game has to go to Sam Vomhoff, going 4 for 5 at the plate with 3 doubles, driving in 2 runs. And as if that weren't enough, he then comes to the mound and gets the save for Whitewater. Meanwhile, for the Tigers, some good performances throughout the lineup. Just really that key hit that they were missing, but MJ Metz once again continues his red-hot hitting. He went 3 for 4, had that home run, that solo shot that got the Tigers to within 3, but just unable to get back into this one completely after taking that 2-0 lead. But the best thing about a doubleheader, after the first one comes another one. So after about a 30-minute break, we will have another game here on Tiger Network. Luke, I have to say goodbye to you on this one. Josh Muchigemba will be taking over and joining you for Game 2 of the doubleheader. But it's been a pleasure to bring you Game 1. Thank you to our incredible student crew that you see right there in the control room. If you're wondering how we get those incredible angles and all the camera, the replays, the sound coming in from the field, they are the ones responsible. So thank you to them. Once again, I'm Brian Yanselson. Have a wonderful Friday night.